Happy?
I am more than happy. All right.
What's up, dude?
Here we are again.
Yeah.
So we got a special episode tonight. We'll introduce our guest here in a moment, but because he's a Jack and Coke guy, we're going to drink something we haven't had on here yet.
Yeah.
And that is Jack Daniel's Old Number 7 Tennessee Sour Mash Whiskey. Distilled and bottled by Jack Daniel Distillery, Lynchburg, Tennessee. 40% alcohol by volume. There's no long story on here.
I used to make the pilgrimage there every year.
Yeah, I've never been to the distillery.
What the fuck? We lived like 30 minutes.
I don't like Jack Daniel's. I've never had it. I mean, I've had it by itself, and I don't care for it.
See, I won tickets to see the old 97s at their employee barbecue pit. The shit was fucking awesome.
So we will toast here in just a moment when we bring our guest on.
Well, go ahead and give him the intro, man. Unless you want to do our how the fuck's your week been shit.
How the fuck's your week?
Yeah, it's been fine. How's yours?
It's been all right. Hot as shit.
Dude, it's fucking awful.
Knoxville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Very hot.
For a change, I was really excited. I was like, hey, it's more temperate here in the summer than it was back in Huntsville, but it is not.
It is not. You're correct. No. The winters are a little, not quite as warm as Huntsville and Pulaski where we're from, but it's still hot. So tonight we have.
So you introduced the guy because I've only met him since we've been on Zoom. And
so this is the first time I've actually met him. We've had multiple messages back and forth with each other, and I've got his bio here in front of me. But I think you go by CQ, right? All right. So I'm going to leave it at CQ because I don't know how to pronounce your last name for sure. I don't want to fuck that up. Michael is the first name, but he is a pop culture warrior. He does a weekly show on Facebook. I think, what is it? Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yep.
So here we go. Michael, cheers.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for having me on.
I could actually cheers you, I guess.
Oh, man.
So I can't stand the Jack and Coke mix, so I'm drinking the Jack and then I'm chasing with Coke. So I'm here with you in spirit.
I can handle Jack Daniels with the Coke in there.
I used to drink exclusively Jack and Cokes, and
sure.
I had one of the worst hangovers of my life off of Jack and Coke. And so now I can do the Jack, I can do the Coke, but I can't fucking have them together.
Yeah, that's.
I appreciate you guys making the effort for me. I feel special.
Oh yeah. We like to drink whatever our guests will drink. So we had a Swedish guy on.
If you were doing blow, man, we'd be right here fucking with you.
Yeah, we're not big Scotch guys. We had a guy in Sweden that I know come on one time, and he is a Scotch guy. So we were drinking Johnny Walker, and it was not good.
Yeah.
So anyway, tell us a little bit about the Pop Culture Warrior show you do on Facebook Tuesday nights at 8 Eastern.
Sure. Yeah. There's not a real hard sell on it. It is a live show. So Tuesday nights, 8 to 10-ish. Sometimes we'll run a little long if we're really getting into it. It is a pop culture show. If you can see from my background, I'm a pretty big geek and love all the Marvel stuff and TV and movies and comedy, video games, comic books, all of it. So we just kind of cover, what's happening in the week of pop culture. We examine funny stuff. We'll play stupid things like, would you eat it? When they announce, oh, there's a new pina colada flavored Oreo. And we're like, all right, would you fucking eat that? And, it's a lot of fun. It's super engaging. The audience is a big part of the show. They're commenting, they're calling into the show. It's a lot of fun. And then every once in a while, we'll have guests on. Like, for instance, next Tuesday, we have Pete Sachs, who is a military member who's also a cartoonist. So he does these kind of military cartoons called G.I. Lowe. And, so we've had that. The week after that, we're having a director who just released The Outpost with Orlando Bloom and a few others.
Oh, goddamn. Look at
really.
So we have directors, we have actors. We've had, we have a guy from Marvel coming on soon to talk about the Avengers video game. So a lot of really cool entertainment guests. I love kind of getting past the kind of superficial that we all see and more learning the behind the scenes, right? What was it like behind the scenes? What goes into the making of this cartoon, this comic, this video game, this movie? So that's a lot of fun when we have guests on, and it's just a super cool, fun show. There's so much drama and just shit in the world today.
Right.
That I wanted to do something that was fun, that was just left me feeling better than when I started, and not just miserable.
Well, I was telling Joey earlier, dude, if I could get Nathan Fillion on here, it would be one of my fucking dreams.
Absolutely.
And I said, I swear I will not talk about Firefly at all. I'll just leave that off the table. We'll talk about other shit, but like he's one of my like pop culture nerd guys I would love to have on. But it's with our content, it's a little harder to get people with an image, on the on the podcast. Not many people want to talk about fucking dicks for an hour and a half.
Yeah. You gotta find military guys, man. This is right up their alley. You got anybody that served that also is in the entertainment business would be good. A guy like who am I thinking of? Like Steve Buscemi, a military guy, a firefighter, the NYPD or NYFD firefighter. So I think he would be in there. But a lot of guys in the Quentin Tarantino realm.
Right. Yeah,
heavy
for
drinkers would probably jump at the chance. Comedians, look up comedians. Comedians love doing stuff like this.
Yeah,
you could probably find a bunch of good comedians that would want to come on.
Yeah, we've had
or mediocre comedians. We'll take either.
We've had a couple of military. Actually, so I guess I was going to say Jordan and Will, my brother Will, were both U.S. Army, but now I'm thinking about it. Christian from Sweden was part of the Swedish Army, and then also worked with the U.S. Secret Service at one point a little bit.
My buddy Aaron, he called him. He was an ex-Navy nuke.
I don't count Aaron.
No, I don't count Aaron
he
either.
was boring as shit when he called in. But so anyway,
I was a coastie.
Oh, right on. So you didn't serve, is what you're saying?
Yeah, right. That's what I get all the time, you fucking asshole.
I have to be reminded that it was one of the branches of the military, because I always go the Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines. I'm always forgetting one. What's the?
Yeah, well, have you watched Space Force on Netflix?
Yes, of course.
When they were like the guy was like, oh yeah, now we're the Coast Guard was like, oh, and I was like, no, you guys are under the Salvation Army.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about right.
Okay, now we're not the bitches of the thing anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get shit. My favorite is the old, hey, I heard you have to be 6 feet to be in the Coast Guard, so if the boat sinks, you can walk back to shore.
Yeah,
that shit.
A good one, man. I haven't heard that one. That's a good one. I like that. I'm pocketing that one.
The water firefighters.
Yeah. So you're from New York. I see in your bio it says born and raised in New York.
I'm sorry.
Where you at now?
New York City. First of all, let's be clear.
New York City. Yep. Sorry.
Which is the only real.
Not Buffalo.
Everybody else is just.
I spent almost 2 months in Manhattan earlier last year in January, February, and it was right off the Hudson, because the big Hudson Yards construction. I was working there, and it was fucking awful. Of course, I was living at a shitty hotel for 2 months, but
yeah. You didn't get it. I mean, hey, if you had a miserable time, you got most of the New York experience, man.
Yeah, right. Well, I do miss the 99-cent pizza at fucking 2 a.m. That shit's on point.
Yes, the street hot dogs that have been boiling in the same water for years. Oh yeah.
Now I will say, man, fuck you guys' barbecue though. I had a guy that I was working with. He was like, man, we got a great barbecue joint in here. I was like, there's no way, and fuck you guys have good and it was bad.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It was like eating sadness.
Lots of great pizza, best in the world. Lots of great ethnic foods.
Yeah.
Because you got all the little barrios,
great ramen joints. Holy shit. Oh man,
so many good stuff. I mean, if you want Korean food, you want, whatever you want, like there's a spot for it. Barbecue and that kind of Southern cuisine. No, that's not really a New York State.
So you say pizza's best in the world, because I'm kind of partial to Chicago style.
Chicago, that's fine. That's good. That's like, but it's not comparing the same thing. I agree with that. Like saying, I like apple pie. Well, I like pecan pie. Yeah, they're both pie, but they're not the same thing. Sure. Chicago style pizza is fine and dandy, but it is not. It's
essentially
true.
a bread bowl with fucking pizza shit.
Yeah,
that's
basically
but most people say it's like eating a pizza soup, but it's not like that.
It is like that.
It's absolutely not like that. So
I mean, I'll tell you, I've had pizza in Italy, and which there's a big confusion of we're like, oh, pizza came from Italy, and it's like, actually no, pizza came from the States.
We bastardized somebody else's shit like we do everything.
Yeah, exactly. It's what we're good at. And so, but I've had Italian pizza in Italy, in Rome, and in different places, and that's a soup. I don't care what you say. That is a soup that they pour on a bread plate, because literally, if you just take one side and just lift, everything just slides right off. So that is,
it doesn't even sound remotely good.
Well, exactly. So you've never had proper Chicago style pizza, is what you're telling me.
No, that is no.
If Uno's does not count as
you're right.
Chicago style pizza.
You're right. That doesn't count.
Good point. Good point.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so New York.
I had the man Lou Malnati's pizza. So yeah.
I will say though, I do like in fucking New York City for me. I love visiting. It's great for like 3-4 days, and then I'm fucking done with it, man. I gotta be out.
That's the quintessential. It's like a Vegas trip. You gotta get in there, you hit all the spots, you do the stuff, and you get the fuck out. Like that's the only way. I'm from there. I have family there. I zip in, hey, what's up, everybody? Grab some food I like, and then I'm out. You can't. No. Like
I will say, other than California, man. As far as stateside, fucking New York's got the best goddamn coffee on the planet, though. You got some great fucking coffee shops.
Coffee and bagels, man.
And bagels, man.
Nothing hits it better in the morning.
No, when you go to New York, you don't go to Starbucks as well there, do you?
if it's the only thing open on the way, if I have to.
So like Michael Scott, you're walking down the street, you point to the Starbucks. My favorite New York coffee shop.
Right.
Yeah. I was in Israel once, and I was with a bunch of guys, and we're eating the falafel and all the stuff. And the one guy's like, "Oh, check it out. I'm gonna hit that spot up." It was a McDonald's. And I'm like, bro, you just flew 17 hours around the world to go to McDonald's. Like, come on, man. Eat the food that, that's there.
I had a buddy of mine. He was from, Jordan. And he had me to his house and would make all kinds of fucking shit. I love going to that dude's house because very hospitable. And if I ever had him over, like I could just have some fucking chips and shit and he'd be happy. But if I came over to his house, dude, it was a full fucking spread. Really? So good. Hater was his name. Yeah. Huh.
So one thing I learned, and we're kind of jumping topics here, but
it doesn't matter.
Multiple deployments and being in the Middle East, a lot of people think, their whole culture is based on hating Americans and kill everybody.
No,
but a lot of their practices are like, if you show up at their doorstep, they are by their own code obligated to be an excellent host.
Yeah,
they will feed you. They will clothe you. Like if you see, what was that movie, the Mark Wahlberg one, Lone Survivor, and there are people like, oh my God, this guy took him into his house and kept him alive, and like if they are serious about their beliefs, like by their own code, that is what you do. You care for your fellow man, regardless of their position or anything. So something, going to Israel, going to Jordan, going to these places, they definitely want to. It's part of showing that they're a good person is by welcoming you and feeding you and doing all those things.
Well, he was the weirdest dude, completely bald-headed, dumpy little motherfucker, like super nice. His wife was like this rich French heritage, like beautiful, whatever. And they had a kid. He hated her and she hated him, but they were fucking together, I guess, whatever. And like he would be like, "Oh, my wife's coming home." He goes, "I've got to find things to do, so I'm not at the house." And I was like, that's where he goes, "I want to have sex when she gets back," and then she needs to leave. Yeah. But she would go on these crazy trips, like, "Oh, where is she right now?" It's like, "Oh, she's in Cairns, or she's in fucking like Barbados, or wherever the fuck they were at."
Yeah,
and they had so much money somewhere all the time. He's like, "Oh, I like that she's rich because she's never home." And I was like, "That's awesome."
That man's living the dream right there.
Yeah. Huge house outside of DC.
Don't let my wife find that out.
Well, I've been married. This is my third, and typical ex-military fashion, quote unquote. And she's like she actually likes me out of the three, and we get along really well. So it's a lot different story than
usually third time's the charm.
That's what I hear. That's what I hear.
That's when you get it right.
What is
I'm not assuming, but the strippers, no,
no strippers. One was another coastie, and that was shit. And then the first one was back in the old youth pastor days. So pre-military.
I was engaged to a stripper for a while. I felt like being infantry, I had to like.
You had to check that off.
The Camaro.
Yeah. I had a buddy that was married to an ex-stripper, and as soon as they got married, dude, she probably put on fucking 200 pounds. Like not just big, because people are happy they get big. She got fucking huge. Oh yeah, you know, my buddy, what was his name? Fucking. Yeah, it was crazy. Like, and like I saw pictures of her when she was younger, and I was like, holy shit, she was really fucking gorgeous. Like, what the fuck happened? But it was one of those, you could still see it in her face. I'm like, I was like, you know, whatever, and then whatever. And not that you can judge a woman's quality by that measure, but you know, when it's like being married to two different people, that's a weird dichotomy.
Fat joke? I feel like that was a fat joke. Two different people.
Yes.
So I know you said you got out of New York. Where did you settle down at after your military time?
So now I'm in undisclosed location. No.
Okay. All right.
No, Maryland. I'm in Maryland now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hate Maryland worse than anything. Where in Maryland? I was stationed in Baltimore for a while.
Not too far from there, Frederick. So,
Frederick? Okay, yeah, I know Frederick.
70 and yeah.
Better than Glen Burnie.
Yeah. I've spent a lot of time in the Glen Burnie area, so I have friends there. So I'm not gonna say anything. Lovely place.
Dude, I went back to Alaska to get the fuck out of Baltimore.
I can see that. See that.
Yeah. This shithole.
It is.
I mean, parts of Maryland are fucking gorgeous, and I'll give them the crab cake thing, but I do not like that a lot of people from Maryland consider themselves part of the South. They are not.
It's like people from North Carolina.
Like if you're Southern Maryland, I think that's a bigger.
See, I don't count Virginia as part of the South anymore.
Right.
West Virginia is its own type of special. But.
Well, it's odd.
I have friends there. I'm not poking that bear.
You got friends all over, man.
It's odd the way different states and different places in this country, how they consider themselves parts of the country. Like Ohio, say they're the Midwest. How the fuck is that the Midwest?
They're the Northeast.
Yeah, it's
or Northwest. Yeah, fuck you.
I think you're absolutely right, man. Because I mean, Florida is the South, but you're like, well, when you think of the South, you're not thinking of Orlando. You know what I mean?
Well, it's you got Lower Alabama, which is the Panhandle, and then the rest of it, which kind of
Florida's just Florida. That's the thing.
Yeah, because you got the middle, the Everglades, which I would consider pretty fucking southern, and the Panhandle. The rest of it is just, southern New York.
Yeah, exactly. You go down to Miami, you're little Havana. You're not exactly,
And then you got, of course, Texas will claim part of the South, but they're their own thing. Texas is special,
their own thing,
and they're west of the Mississippi, so they don't fucking count.
And I like
Louisiana is the great last frontier of the South.
I like Texas. The best barbecue I've ever had I got in Texas and just outside Fort Worth, but it is like the cliche of how they feel everything is bigger and better in Texas is so like dead set, like that's how they are. Like
it's true.
There's a couple of people that I worked with had to go down there, and they were sitting in a restaurant one evening, and the sun was just glaring through the window, and the woman looks at the guy she's there with, her colleague, and she said, "It is so hot. That sun is so bright. It's almost like even the sun is bigger here." And some guy they don't know from Texas leaned over to the table and said, "Yes, ma'am. Everything's bigger in Texas."
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, man.
I was, and I'm sure in the military you've been around a few guys. Like the military dudes from Texas are the fucking worst of all of them. Like I had a buddy of mine named Mike Epps, and no relation to the comedian. Super nice dude. Like if you got to know him, but he checked every box. Loud, boisterous, fucking the worst drunk. And he would cock block the shit out of you if he thought he could get laid instead of you. He was the fucking worst. But I love the shit out of the guy. His favorite movie was Top Gun of all time, followed by second place The Expendables.
Interesting.
Those are his top two favorite movies of all time. And Rambo First Blood. Those are his top three.
Wow.
He was a true cinephile.
Wow.
So I showed him Wet Hot American Summer one time, and I did not tell him about the scene with Bradley Cooper and Michael Ian Black fucking in the equipment shed.
Nice.
And we got to that point. It's like, actually, I showed it in Alaska when they had no idea what was coming. And they're like, "What the fuck are you showing us? This is fuck this shit." I was like, yeah.
When I used to work part-time at Movie Gallery, people would come in and ask for a good Western, and I would point them to Brokeback Mountain and have pissed off people come back.
In the South, that was a big thing. I didn't think it was, to me, it was a very mediocre movie with it was like a really It was basically The Notebook with
it's
two
a good
dudes
love
out
story.
west.
It's a good love story, but it's not a good movie.
It was a Western notebook.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
There was one time I was talking to a buddy of mine, and best one-liner he ever did around me is we were talking about Heath Ledger and talking about his work, and I was talking about a Knight's Tale, and I was like, you know, A Knight's Tale is just a chick flick with sword fights. Yep. And he goes, yeah, that's basically what Brokeback Mountain was. And I went, God damn it, that's good.
My only question with Brokeback Mountain was like, if this is their first rodeo, no pun intended, like, how do you know to spit on it? Like it was like just second nature. I was like, holy shit. Hey, if you're the top, man, you're just going in hard. That's all there is to it.
I mean, some of us, you know, are classy like that. So,
but I'm just saying, you at least try before you spit, because you don't know how lubricated that shit is. You've never done it, and they've been out on horses for it might be good and slick. Like you always try the jam before you go to the fucking bread, you know?
Like that. That's a good one. I'm gonna pocket that one too.
So
Maryland.
Joey's the one that tries to keep us on topic. I'm the one that derails this shit.
Which is fine with me. I'm fine with that. You mine some gold every once in a while. So your military life. So I know you said like 9/11 happens, you're a senior in high school and you join the military. So
yeah,
I was 2 years removed from high school at that point, which is not a long time, but my brother was a senior in high school and he had the same kind of thing where he went straight and joined the, I don't know where he went in, but he ended up with 101st at one point, but still. Mm-hmm. So as a senior in high school, what was that like, you know, seeing that, and what parts of that like pushes someone to the military life?
Yeah, it's weird. I think, you know, for some, by the time they get to senior in high school, it's like they've got it all worked out, right? Like, okay, I'm applying to my colleges and I know my next thing and my next thing. But for a lot of others, you're still trying to figure out what the fuck you're going to do post high school. And so having such a climactic, traumatic, just this life-altering, world-shifting thing happen, and for it to be in my city.
Yeah.
You know, I
didn't even consider that.
Yeah, exactly. They weren't just attacking my country; they were attacking my home, like my literal home. My school was just a few miles removed from the Twin Towers. So I remember we were in computer class, and we were working, and of course I wasn't doing any work. I was surfing the net, and breaking news comes across, and I flagged my teacher. And I was like, oh shit, because it happened before where a plane accidentally hit the Twin Towers. It's happened before. So I was like, oh shit, you know, something happened, and put it up on the TV that was in the classroom, and they were still thinking this was an accident, and it was, oh my God, it was this crazy thing. And we were watching live in our classroom when the second plane hit.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, this isn't an act like that, you know, fool me once, like that's not an accident the second time. And we straight up ran up to the roof, and like, fuck the classes. We ran up to the roof, and we had a very short building, so you couldn't really see, but you could see the smoke. You could see the smoke over the buildings. And almost immediately they're like, everybody go home, just released everybody. And so it was terrifying. It was a terror, because you don't know is the next plane coming down in Central Park, is the next, like, you just don't know. And so that was a terrifying day. And even when, you know, a couple days later when we're returning classes and everything, like that whole year was just, because, you know, this was September, we had just started the school year.
Right.
So I had a whole senior year where it was really like what the fuck does this mean? And everybody was kind of lost, and nobody really knew what was happening or why. For a guy who, I grew up very, very poor. So like my mom had me as a teenager. Dad wasn't in the picture. We grew up in the slums, like poor. And, you know, didn't really have a lot of the, you know, and college wasn't an option and things like this. And so like everything it's weird to explain, because it just changed everything. You know, I was thinking about like, all right, what job am I going to get, and where I'm going to work? And now, like, the only way I can describe it is like, if you were born and raised in New York City and you've never been outside of it, really, and of course, because of our crappy public education, I just assumed the rest of the world was like New York City.
Right.
Not even the rest of the country, but the rest of the world. Like, I assumed if you're in, I don't know, Dayton, Ohio, it looked like New York City. There's subways and there's buses and there's skyscrapers. Like, because I just didn't know any better. That's all I had ever known. And so all of a sudden to find out, well, shit, there's parts of the world that don't like us was groundbreaking to me.
Right.
Like,
and I would imagine too, at 17, 18 years old, it makes a much different impact than it would if you're, in your 20s and already kind of bitter towards the world a little bit.
Yeah. Like if you had a job and like, you're like, oh, I work at, I don't know, FedEx or something like that. You're not gonna be like, well, fuck, I'm going to quit my job and join the army.
Right.
Like, it just doesn't make sense. But I was at a very impressionable age. Right. Was honestly kind of looking for a way out, to be honest. Right. Military had never even crossed my mind. That wasn't an option where I'm from. Nobody leaves the fucking ghetto and joins the military. It's a very rare thing. Yeah. But all of a sudden, throughout that senior year, all of a sudden you start getting a lot more, pre 9/11, there weren't a lot of like military ads on TV.
No. A lot of propaganda after 9/11. I remember.
Yeah, not in New York City for sure. There weren't billboards and posters and stuff, but all of a sudden it became an option. It became a viable option and this heroic thing and this. And so by the end of the school year, I was just like, I'm gonna fucking sign up. I'm going to join. I want to fight back. I don't want to feel powerless. And also, it doesn't hurt that like this is a good career option.
Absolutely.
There's benefits, and I want to travel the world. I'd never been out of the city really. I had one trip to Orlando, Florida, to Disney for like 3 days or whatever, it was 5 days, and that was it. That was like my extent of world travel at that point. So to experience the world, to experience other cultures, to get some, that was kind of the whole point. And I joined straight out of high school, but there was such an influx of personnel signing up at that time that like I didn't, usually you sign up, you're on the next bus to basic training.
Right.
Well, I signed up right after high school, and it took about, because I graduated 2002, it took about 7 months before they were able to get me to basic training. So it was January of 2003 that I finally made it to basic training, even though I signed up like as I graduated high school.
It's the same. I've told my oldest, he'll be 17 this year. And I was like, man, if you got it figured out and you got a good plan, then by all means go for it. I said, but if you don't, I was like, the military is your best option. I was like, you got 4 years at 18. And I said, if you love it, you have a career. If you don't, it's like going to trade school. You have a skill set to be immediately employable when you get out. And plus you have your GI Bill. If you want to go back to school in 4 years, you can at least finish your fucking associates while you're in with the top up shit. And I was like, there's no downside to going. And I said, worst case scenario, you come out at 22 and you can get 2 more years of school and have your bachelor's. I said, it opens up so many things for you. Like I never finished college at all. But I've just, because of my military background, I was an electronics tech. I've just been able to work and like the job. Have an engineering stamp on my name now, but fuck, I'm no goddamn engineer. I don't know shit, but I'm good at, that military. I can bullshit my way into it and I'll figure it the fuck out when I get there.
Just enough to be dangerous. That's the whole point of the military. Well, and
So,
I think, and then what other place in the world can you sign up? You're going to get paid to learn a job, paid to do the job, even though you have zero experience doing the job, paid to get the experience doing the job to the point where you're almost a pro. And then after all that time, go, you know what? I want to do a different job, and then sign a contract where they start the whole process over. And you're like, I went from being an engineer, now I'm a cook. Now I'm a flight mechanic. Now I'm a...
And you don't drop back in pay. You know what I mean? You get to keep on rocking.
You get more money.
Yeah.
So what can you do?
Right. So question for you then, as you've gotten older in the position you're in now, having served everything you've been through, and we won't rehash all of that, but you had a pretty involved, background and went through a lot of shit while you're in it. But has your perspective on the military and military service, not people in the military, but just as a conglomerate, so to speak, has your perspective on the military changed or shifted as you've gotten older after you've been out?
Like in the sense of the military as a being, as like the higher, like yeah, because when you're young, it's this, I don't know, it's this force for good. It's very much, what was that movie? Was it Team America, World Police?
Yeah.
Something like that. It's very much like you, fuck yeah, America. Like it's this thing, and once you've gone through it, you start to realize that not necessarily that it's not a business, but it's this machine, and that you're a cog in it. And so understanding where you fit in the larger sense of it, the larger piece of it, understanding that you can either, like very much like you were saying, you can take control and make it the best situation for you,
right?
Kind of going blindly, and they're gonna do they're gonna have the best situation for them. You know,
right.
It's very much doing the casino thing where like you have to know which games to play, and you have to know where your odds are, you're stacked and your better odds. I still highly recommend a lot of people. I have family members, younger nieces and nephews, where I join. I think it's right for you, but be smart about it. And I coach them up. I say, get your high ASVAB score like that. It's such a
that's everything.
It's such a simple thing to just kind of blow past, and you realize like that is the first step to having a very profitable future.
Right.
So, getting the high ASVAB score. Don't just go in because, they have a job available. Like, find the job that you want to be passionate about, or at least you have interest in.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, because I know I had a buddy of mine join the Air Force and lucked into the fact he ended up being a boom operator, a fucking in-flight gas station attendant is what I like to call him. And he loved the job. He enjoyed the job. But for every one guy that's like that kind of just lucked into a job he enjoyed, there's tons of guys that are like, they sign it up for open contract.
Right.
You end up in janitorial services, and you're like, fuck this. This is, I don't want to do this.
Well, I did the same, and I went in, had no idea, didn't have anything guaranteed. I just kind of went in and did the thing. And I was old enough. I was like 25 when I went in. So I knew what I was getting into as far as structurally and how shit worked. And one of the hardest things I do is not punch fucking kids in the face at boot camp. They were 18. I was like, shut your goddamn mouth. This will be way fucking easier for everybody, But I was fortunate enough. I did well enough on the ASVAB. After I got in and kind of felt everything out, I was able to kind of put in for what I wanted. But I was trying to go in one field, and this guy, one of those bitter old fucking 6s, 7s, and was like, you don't want to do this. This sucks for this, this, and this. So I picked a different route, and it was worked out. It's kind of like, though, one of the things, because of the skill set, like I'm good at it, but I don't like doing it, but it pays the bills. And, I'm good enough at doing it that it provides for the family. So I fucking can't complain, but God damn it, that fat son of a bitch fucked me over in the long run.
We all have stories like that, but you paint a really good picture. And some of the best advice that I like to give younger folks nowadays is that I said, you can do the job that fulfills you, that makes you happy, but maybe it's not going to financially, artists are the perfect example. You could paint because it makes you happy and it fulfills you spiritually. What are the chances that you're going to be the next Banksy or something like that? Very, very nil. Or you could be that budget analyst. You fucking hate numbers, but for whatever reason, you're good at it and you get paid well to do it.
Yep.
And you have to find your spiritual fulfillment somewhere else.
Right.
That pays the bills so that you afford. I'm in a position right now where I won't talk about my day job, but I couldn't care less about.
We don't talk about our day jobs either.
But you know what I mean? It pays the bills, and I pop culture warrior. That's where I have my fun. That's where I get my fulfillment.
And as shit grows, I mean, you obviously, like, we checked out your fan base and a lot of stuff before having you on, and I mean, you're doing well for, where you're at, and obviously have a lot more than us, and that's on the road that it keeps blowing up. It's feasible because it's something that you love, and as it grows to shift to that eventually. But that's the great thing. Like, if you're smart about it, like you said, even as an artist, it's different than being like younger, like in your 20s and shit, where you can just fucking live on ass for a while and whatever. But
couches and shit.
But this is the type of thing that you can do on top of the other job, and as it grows, you have the flexibility to make that shift. But a lot of that is also having the military background, that you're employable getting out. Like I've told my wife, it's because of some of that, like if I had to go back and work at fucking McDonald's, I do it in a heartbeat if it meant paying the bills. Absolutely. But because of that background, it's hard not to find a job with them, because there's so many people that they hire veterans first, and it goes a long fucking way. I mean, it's it's a big benefit if you're willing to put in that time to do it. Like I'm kind of a bitter motherfucker just about life in general. I'm a very apathetic person. And so like my perspective on the military as a organization is not the most positive. I appreciate my time there, what it's done for me. I can recognize that, but, and what it can do for people, but it's more of the people that I have the respect for and that, I look at as opposed to, when you're on the outside, especially as you get older and you see how they're doing shit and treating people. Like you said, when you're younger, it's like, fuck yeah, they're doing this or that. And then you kind of see some of the motivation with the politics behind it. And you're like, oh, these guys are a bunch of fucking cocks. But you got a lot of young people that are really believing in what they're doing. And they're truly thinking they're doing the best thing for America and for themselves. And, you can't fault people for that at all.
Absolutely. And that's their bread and butter. 90% of the ranks. I mean, I'm guessing here, but 90% of the ranks are going to be under 24.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
and coming in at 25 and having these little fucking officers being all, oh my God, it was so hard sometimes to bite my tongue.
I can't imagine. We actually had a guy who, when he got to our unit, I think it was like 30. He had just got under the wire. Like he was like 34, 35. He was like having a midlife crisis, and he's a private.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, and then funny side stories. We found out later that the industry he came from was porn. And that's bullshit.
And that's something you don't want to come out while you're in the middle. Jesus Christ.
The way we found out is we're fucking deployed. We're in Afghanistan, and a box from the company was like 10, I think Perfect 10 at the time, sent us a care package. And it's like, hi, Eric, we miss you. I'm like, who the fuck is Eric, first of all? Because, we all go last names. It was this guy. And we're like, what the fuck is going? Why are these porn stars writing you and sending, like, they were sending us DVDs and all types of
stuff. That's kind of a jackpot, though.
Yeah, I know it was, but that left a lot of questions. And of course, his stance was, he's like, look, I know what it looks like. I was not in porn. It turns out it was like I was the executive assistant. I did the budgets and payroll and things like that. To this day, I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's
kind of hard, I would think, as a male in that industry, if you're already in it, not to kind of at least dip the toes in a little bit,
I mean, and here's the thing: if you're the payroll guy, why did they have such an interest in, like, you were best friends with them and like they were concerned? Like, I don't know. It's just something about that. To this day, it doesn't. Whatever.
It's funny.
I don't know. I'm watching you, man. But yeah.
And on top of that, and I'm sure just where you've come from and stuff, but that fucking the VA disability afterwards is pretty fucking sweet too. That pays my mortgage.
Yeah, there's nothing I won't say bad about it because I don't want to lose my
well, like I was like, the VA healthcare it leaves something to be desired.
Sure.
But the benefits that have come with that have been because I was medically discharged getting out for much different reasons than you were, but it all comes from the same pot. Of course, I got dicked over on my way out though. I was told that
the military way,
because because when I got discharged, I was just I had 3 years left. I think I just about to re-up, and they were like, well, we're cutting your contract early, obviously, so you get your severance, whatever. And I was like, well, this affect the VA disability? They're like, oh no, it's separate. It's two separate things. I was like, well, okay, I'll take the severance then. Those fucking assholes, I had to pay back like $45,000 before I saw a dime of my disability. It took like 7 years. It was some bullshit. But that was on the fucking coasty yeoman having no fucking clue what they were saying, and me being like, fuck, I don't know how to deal with this shit.
What year was that, if you don't mind me asking?
That was 2012, 2013. It took a year and a half to get me out.
They should have known better. I was gonna say, because like when I separated, that was like 2007, and especially when it came to disabilities and service comp and things like that, like it was still like everybody was kind of like, I don't know. Like,
that's how it was. They were with mine, because the type of medical discharge it was. Everybody was like, we don't know how to do this. They sent me. I went to an Army guy for a while, and then I got called in by one of our commanders that was like, so what's going on with your treatment over there? I was like, fucking look at the medical records. Like, oh, we don't have access to any of that. So I told them kind of what was going on. They're like, we don't like that. We don't agree with that. And I was like, you go tell the Army doctors this, and this. It was Tripler. And I was like, why don't you fucking talk to him? I was like, God damn it. I'm not a medical person that's going to put this shit back and forth. But And then they tried to change the shit I was on and fuck with everything up. And I was like, God damn it, just kick me out. And one dude that didn't believe the diagnosis sat on my paperwork for a year. And I was like, you fucking assholes. But I essentially, my last year, I was like, you know what? You guys are going to fuck me over. Not doing nothing. So I just dicked off my last year in Hawaii. So,
well, there's worse places to be stuck than Hawaii.
Dude, I had a 9 to 5 for my last few little bit there.
Can't complain.
No.
So
anyway, I kind of hijacked this. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. I do realize it's probably been like 20 minutes since I've said anything, but
yeah, well, nobody cares about what.
I have no stories to tell.
You're just gonna go back and read line by line with this shit anyway.
I mean, I've got things highlighted.
I'm bringing soul to this goddamn interview.
Finally,
I feel like I'm doing all the heavy lifting over here, guys. Come on now.
Hey, you're the guest, man. We're here interested about you. So,
I'm just here to talk about me.
So, I mean, clearly talk about whatever you want, not to make you rehash anything you don't want to, or whatever, but just whatever you feel like talking about as far as your time in the military, your tours and things. I've got a brother and a close friend that have done several. So I didn't hear. What was that?
No, I said, don't be a bitch, man. Ask the question. Go for it.
No. I've heard plenty of stories from my brother and then a friend of ours that was in the Army. So just, I mean, what was that? You know, what was your experience like there? I mean, obviously you have a very interesting history in the military and then getting out of the military and things like that. So,
yeah,
don't talk about anything you don't want to, but I think the question everyone wants to know is like, how many people did you kill? No, I'm just.
Oh yeah, no, that's the one.
I'm just kidding,
man. I've
heard so many people ask so many military people that, like, how many people did you kill?
Like, you realize it's not, most guys do not want to talk about that shit.
Exactly.
There's a VFW for a reason,
or they're not keeping track. So.
Yeah. And here's the thing, and let's put it out there. All right,
go for it, man.
So the real honest answer is there's no fucking way to know.
Yeah.
Really. Because, the whole idea of like confirmed kills is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Snipers will claim confirmed kills and things like that. But you're not going to tell me I took a 600-meter shot and someone went over there and fucking checked, like, are you dead? You dead? Yeah, he's dead. That's one. You got one. Like, that shit doesn't happen.
Yeah. Our buddy's standard answer was like, well, I don't know, but I just know that we shot until people weren't shooting back anymore.
Yeah.
And that is the most honest answer. I will tell you that I've been shot at a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I have returned. I wasn't one of the M4 guys. I had a machine gun. I had the M249. That is a squad automatic weapon. I'm laying down like 300 rounds a minute. I let loose a fuck ton of ammo. I guarantee you I hit some people.
That's where my tax dollars went.
And yes, absolutely. It probably in my career, and it was a short career, I'll be honest. I mean, I joined in 2003 and I was out in 2007. Not my choice, of course, but in that amount of time, I probably went through, I don't know, $500,000 worth of ammunition, probably between my machine gun, my M4, my 203, my grenade launcher, the Ma Deuce, the 50 cal, the Mark 19 automatic. Let me tell you something. You ever get a chance to shoot a Mark 19? Is an automatic, belt-fed grenade launcher.
Nice.
So think like a 50 cal that's just pumping rounds, but instead of bullets, they're grenades.
That's fucking awesome.
Dun, 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 dun. Just shooting your rapid firing grenades.
Right.
It is. Oh man, talk about a hard on. Just woo.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah.
Good times.
And what I would say is, why shouldn't a civilian be able to own that weapon if they want
to? It's our goddamn American right to own that shit.
God given.
Sorry, I just imagined people on their roofs with just firing volleys.
Oh,
yeah, I'm all for everybody should own whatever arms they want. A Mark 19, I'm like, that's crossing the line. Let me tell you something. Holy moly. First of all, you shouldn't be allowing 18-year-olds to fire this thing off in a hostile country. But Yeah, no, people should not have access to that.
I'd say it's probably a lot of livestock gets slaughtered with some of those weapons.
I would be remiss if I'm an honest guy. I'm gonna shoot from the hip.
Go for it.
There were times in Iraq where I remember, there's some pent up feelings, and you got to let some shit loose. And wild dogs were a big problem, and if you happen to see a wild dog running, it's a great way to practice hitting a moving target.
Right. Well, that's along those lines. I've talked to people, and then you see media and shit like that. That when some shit happens or people act a certain way, they really want to come down and like, dude, you're putting 18-year-olds in the desert. You're teaching them that this is the enemy. You fired. This is the shit that happens. Like that anger and testosterone has to fucking go somewhere. It's like until you've been there or experienced that, like you can't fathom. You can't. There's a whole different way of thinking in those scenarios than there is, oh shit, I was really stressed because this happened at work, that it's a whole fucking different animal.
8 weeks of basic training and however many months of schooling after that doesn't prepare an 18-year-old. I mean, I don't speak from experience, but I'm just saying it doesn't prepare an 18-year-old.
Well, that, and when you have, like, from my buddies have been over there again, like I've been in Alaska, I've seen some shit with search and rescue and pulling people out, that type of shit, but not, it's a completely different type of thing. But what my understanding and the guys I've talked to, what fucked them up more was seeing and fueled some of that is seeing shit happen to their brothers and the shit that happens there. And it fuels that. And that's a whole different type of fuck your head up than the other side of things. Like when you see things happen and invisibly to the people you care about, and essentially your brothers and sisters and shit that you're out there doing that with, it's a much, much different mindset than what most people realize until they've experienced some shit like that.
And you also have to recognize that. So the experience for someone who goes in to be, and I'm not knocking any other jobs, but someone who goes in to be a cook or a mechanic or, satellite repairman, whatever it is you go in for, that experience is going to be very different than you joined infantry like I did. Your whole being is you are a killing machine. You are the tip of the spear. You guys are
almost as tough as the Marines.
You know what? I'm going to skip over that.
No, I have never met a Marine that I'm not 100% sure I could beat the shit out of. Like I've never really met, they believe a lot, but that's about as far as it goes.
First in, last out. That's what they used to say all the time.
No one believes they can kick more ass than the Marines. Their brainwashing is top notch. The best brainwashing program in the world.
I put 5 extra weeks basic.
I did not mean to interrupt you. I just
Oh, no, absolutely. I agree with you wholeheartedly. But yeah, no, to you guys' point, it wasn't necessarily, because here's the thing, in my own mind, and I'm sure a lot of other guys' minds, I was never in the position where I felt I put someone down that didn't need to be, like, if I was getting shot at, you're damn right, I'm sending bullets back at you. I can understand, and I'm very fortunate in that I've heard stories of guys who, like, perfect example, I've heard about the story of guys working a checkpoint in the middle of the country, cars coming at them, they're screaming stop, there's signs, there's all the things, this car's just speeding at them, they have to assume roadside detonated car, whatnot, or what they call it, the SVED, the vehicle-borne IED. They light it up. It goes off into a ditch. Turns out it was a woman who was in labor, and they were rushing her to the hospital.
Right.
And that can really fuck you up.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Doing my job, like my job was to put down people that were trying to kill me and my friends, and that I was okay with. I'll be really, really honest, and I don't think I've shared this ever, but you guys got me drinking, so I'm going to be real honest here. I see what you did there.
That's what we do.
I see what you did there. But there was this one time, it was Kirkuk, Iraq. We had taken over a police station, and they had put guys in the different roofs to watch, different sectors. And as I'm watching there through my night vision goggle, I see this man and this boy, walking through the streets at night, whatever, no big deal. And he pulls this kid into an alley. And needless to say, I watched something that I really, really, really upset me.
Right.
And the decision I made was to call it in, tell them what I was seeing, and permission to fire. Like, even if it's just a warning shot. Really, I wanted to put a bullet through that dude's face. But at least a warning shot to just fucking scare him off, stop what was happening and scare him off. And I was told, like, does he have a weapon? No, he doesn't have a weapon. Then just fucking business as usual. Just go back to
rough,
stand.
Man.
Yeah.
And this was a situation where my field of fire, the sector I'm watching is here, and it's happening directly.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have a choice almost not to have to see it because of, God forbid this is a distraction and I have to be watching it's my job. If something happens because I just turned away and couldn't watch, then that's on me. And so I have to watch this happen. And one of my only real regrets from my deployment is not doing the old, ask for forgiveness. You know what I mean?
Right,
like fire first and ask for forgiveness.
Right.
Or is it ask for forgiveness instead of permission, something like that. And so, that's the kind of stuff that stays with you.
Right.
More than like, oh, I had to kill a guy. And like,
yeah.
Here's the thing. It happens. It's war.
Yeah,
war
exactly. Yeah.
But like you said, also, watching someone else die, watching one of my guys get injured. The whole reason I got shot is because I saw another guy get shot first.
Mm-hmm.
And he got downed out in the open. They were still shooting around him. And I knew if I didn't act, he was going to die. Like he had been shot through the leg. He just got dropped. And, but this is not a situation like, oh, tag, you're it. We're going to shoot at somebody else. Like they were trying to kill him. And so I had to act and run out there, grab him and drag him back and expose myself, which, there's a great line in some military movies where they're like, dead bodies only attract more dead bodies. And you really shouldn't run out into gunfire to grab somebody because but it's just it's part of who we are, that we're not going to leave a good man to die, for whatever reason. But I knew, like, especially in that moment, that very specific moment, I knew my guys are highly skilled, highly trained. They're going to do what they need to do to protect me, that I can go get him and bring him back. Obviously, I got shot anyway. But, that's besides the point.
Right.
The point is, I know he would have did the same for me. Yeah. And for those that think that, like, oh, you did it because that's your brother and that's the guy that, you guys are friends and everything, out of not just my 4-man team, not just my 8-man squad, not just my 30-man platoon, not just my 200-man company. I hated that guy the worst. Me and this dude did.
But you're in it. You're in it together.
Fundamentally,
if you let him die, who are you going to hate after that?
At the level of atoms and molecules and shit, we just did not sync. We just did not like each other. But in that moment, that shit doesn't matter.
Right.
He's a fellow soldier. He's a brother in arms. And I ran out. I grabbed him. I dragged him back. Took a bunch of rounds. But he survived and I survived, very luckily. But that shit. So I wish more than my only regret in the military is I wish it was somebody else. I wish I went through all the shit I went through because, like, one of my really good friends, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking save you. And I was just like, oh, God damn it, I have to save this guy. But
that's what I was telling somebody too. Like, at the end of the day, as much as military, we might give each other shit or hate somebody else or hate whatever, like, we're still all have been through some of the same shit, and there's some mutual respect that underneath all the fucking bullshit that might be there, how much you like or don't like somebody else. But I just want to say, getting off on something a little different, like, I know you've been kind of picking your way through the bio here. My favorite thing in this fucking bio, I'm just gonna go ahead and say, at the very bottom, if you Google me, I'm sure a ton of stuff will pop up. Like, what a pretentious fucking cock you are.
No, well, I like what it said. Just a heads up, I'm not the musician or the model with the same name.
Yeah. I didn't want you guys to get confused. That
he first showed me that, and I was like, "Who the fuck is this douchebag think he is?"
That's the comedian background. Sorry, that's just the comedian poking out. No, there's also a bunch of, like, Michael Carrasquillos that have been arrested. One for like killed a guy.
Seems more fucking accurate.
One guy ran over somebody with a car. Like, but I like to focus on the musician and the model, because
the model is what I would go with. I was like, yeah, that's me.
We're more simpatico, we're more similar than the other guys.
Well, you guys want to take a quick break? We're about 50 minutes in. This has gone quick.
Yeah.
But take a quick break and come back and
yeah, whatever. Yeah, I want to hear about.
I want a goddamn cigarette so fucking bad right now.
When we come back, though, I want to hear a little bit about your life post military. So.
You're not tired of interviewing him yet? He's done so much goddamn stuff. I'm sick of it. I don't like him based on this.
Yeah, well,
The only thing not in your fucking bio is that you've jerked off in public. Like, that's basically it.
I mean,
I had a mission for a while to jerk off on every form of public transportation I was able to, and I got all of them except for like subways, shit like that. Even though in New York it's pretty fucking common, but
yeah, it's pretty common.
Yeah,
you jerked off in a cab?
No, those are the two.
Okay,
subway, cab. I've gotten I've gotten buses. I've gotten planes. I've gotten trains.
Anything with a private area.
Yeah, that there's a private area, because I'm not going to jerk off in front of a kid.
That's what you got knocked out. Now you got to do the man stuff.
Right. Yeah. So after that fucking school, I'm not jerking. It's been hard for me to jerk off in public again. But all right, we're going to take a quick break. If you want, just hang on. We'll just stop the video here. We're recording.
Yeah, I know we
fucking talk. You haven't said shit this whole fucking I'm glad you haven't said shit this whole fucking podcast.
So I know I finally figured out who it was when we were on our break, but you remind me of just from the
George Lopez?
Yeah. It could have been worse. You could have said Carlos Mencia. The joke thief.
Yeah, he looks like
the one I get a lot. There's like a New York DJ. Very popular New York DJ, very similar look, very similar voice. I get that like anybody that's been in the New York area that that's the one I get the most. But I'd be fascinated to think.
Sound like Britta from fucking Community. It's like, I know because I lived in New York.
So
he also eats bagels.
So what I was going to say is you kind of reminded me of is Paul Verzi. Paul Verzi, Virzi, Paul Verzi. Just a little bit.
Who the fuck is Paul Verzi?
He's recently, in the last 6 months or so, he had a special, Bill Burr's and Al Madrigal's company, All Things Comedy, put a special of his out on Comedy Central. So, But anyway, New York guy, and so definitely have that same kind of sound. But no, you should remind me of Paul Verzi a little bit. But anyway.
So you had more questions.
Well, I'm going to run through some of this quick, but I really want to talk about the comedy stuff a little bit, or have you talk about it anyway. But
because Joey, more so than me, he loves some stand up and
absolutely
comedy shit.
So we've played in a 2 or 3 different bands together throughout our 22 or 23 years of being friends, and whereas he stayed with music, and I still love music, but I'm more into like listening to podcasts and stand-up comedy and things like that. So I
had to get out of it not to die, or if I wanted to stay married a third time. I picked up a pretty sweet oxy addiction, and making some choices that didn't sit well with and being in a relationship.
You're a real musician.
I had to walk away from it because it was bad. But I mean, I love doing it, and I miss it. And I was telling him, I had various levels. I've played for fucking 1,000, 2,000 people, and I've played for the 5 people in a bar, and they're just back and forth. There's never a consistent thing between it. And I never broke past that certain point, probably because I was so self-fucking destructive with the whole thing. But nevertheless, like, I miss the performing, but the lifestyle, like, I don't have enough self-control to say no to a lot of that shit. Like, I always tell people, like, I'm not good at not doing drugs. So I can't stay in that vein if I want to live a life that isn't me in a gutter.
Yeah. I mean, those things kind of go hand in hand. And I mean that being a performer, part of that is wanting the attention. Part of that is wanting to please. And part of that is needing that adrenaline rush.
Well, I always said that like musicians, artists in general, like they're both equal parts narcissistic and complete self-loathing, like all in one fucking package.
Absolutely. Couldn't and I can, me personally, I never got into any of the harder stuff because and the honest reason is I know myself.
Yeah.
And I know I wouldn't be able to stop.
Yeah. I accidentally slipped into the oxy thing. I hurt my back. I got some shit, and then my grandfather had some shit. So my grandmother, anyway, it was this whole fucking road. And then Hawaii, I was drinking my ass off while medicated and all this other stuff. But like I got diagnosed. I bring this up a lot, but just to talk about, like I got diagnosed with bipolar disorder. That's why I got medically discharged, and that was pre-medicated and like on meds. I'm a whole lot more stable. I have a lot more self-control and shit like that, which is great. But unmedicated, I'm just a goddamn train wreck. You know, it's a fucking crazy existence. But anyway,
you and me both.
Yeah.
So just to get serious for just a moment before I jump to the fun stuff you've done, is there anything, because I know when you got out of the military, just based on your bio that you sent us, like you dealt with the PTSD and finding out how to kind of get all that under control. Is there anything that you would say to any veterans or anyone that's dealing with the PTSD like that? Just really quick, anything like that, and then we won't be serious anymore.
No,
I want to give you that opportunity because I know you work with veterans. So
no, I don't mind getting deep. You know, everybody's trauma, regardless of what it is, because let's say sexual trauma, right? You've been raped or abused, that's a level of PTSD.
How did you know?
You've been in a car accident. That's a level of PTSD in of its own. So never, like, it's a terrible thing to try to compare traumas, like, I got shot, but you stubbed your toe. Like, everybody's trauma is very individualistic. It affects you the way it affects you. Dealing with it's not easy. It's a long, I mean, we're skipping over years of like therapy, medication, counseling, peer support groups and things. But at the end of the day, what I think very, very high level, what helped me was first being able to be honest with myself and knowing that, like, okay, there's something wrong.
That's fucking huge. That's the hardest part.
Yeah, that's the critical turning point, right? Because you have to, I've had guys that I served with and I saw it. You know, they're putting their fist through, they're blackout drunk all the time, putting their fist through the wall. I'm fine. Like, bro, no, you're not. You know, guys with pills addiction, booze addiction, and wanting to help them, but until they can see that they need help and that they want the help, you know, you have to hit that point to really understand, to make changes in your life.
Yep.
No matter how many times people are going to tell you, you really have to see it in yourself first and want to be different.
Yep.
And then from there, it's a long process. Some people need to talk about it. Some people need medication. Some people need therapy. Some people need to get into the arts. I believe it or not, the arts was huge. Yeah. You know, obviously me was comedy, but I've seen people that have done actual painting or writing or do spoken word poetry, all these different things to express kind of what's going on and help. Like, I loved comedy because it allowed me to take a lot of the trauma that I was dealing with and control the narrative, change the story, change it, and then put it in this digestible way and then make people laugh at it.
Right.
That was a huge form of therapy for myself. And then just, you know, speaking honestly about it, honestly putting, you know, you have this boogeyman, this darkness, and if you can shine a light on it, like it gets smaller, it gets less scary. And then the last thing is, you know, the best thing someone told me once was, you know, carrying that emotional baggage is like carrying physical baggage. You're carrying this weight. And when you talk about it, when you tell someone, like, this is what I'm going through, and you share that experience, you're literally handing them that bag and saying, like, help me carry this.
Right.
And that weight gets easier.
Well, there's a big part too, not to interrupt you, that
No,
I
go ahead.
think is the whole like relaying to people that it's not a straight line to getting better, and that it's okay to fuck up along the way, as long as you're willing to fucking acknowledge. That acknowledgement and self-awareness is huge. Like that's the crux. And if you can recognize when you fucked up and then have that encouragement to get up and kind of keep going, even if it means you're starting from goddamn square one. Like it's huge to have that permission to fuck up along the way.
It's going to be, it's not a straight line. It's peaks and valleys, man.
Absolutely.
Well, and it sounds as though that it's a little bit the same way as the path of someone going through AA is like, it's a day at a time. And sometimes it's an hour at a time. It's like, I know that I can do what I need to do right now. I don't know about tomorrow, but that doesn't matter because I'm here right now. So anyway,
no, it's absolutely right. I mean, you know, I'm years removed from my injuries. I'm years removed from really the darkest parts of the mental stuff that I went through. But it's still, I allow myself, if I wake up one day and I'm in a fucking shitty mood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I allow myself to like, so, okay, something's going on mentally, something's going on physically. And I allow myself, and I have a really supportive wife, and she understands. And we've been through some of the hard stuff to now we've developed almost like code word, you know, like, hey, I'm feeling blue today. Like today is just a blue day, and she understands.
Yeah.
And hey, what can I do for you? Like, you know what? And sometimes it's stupid. It's like I just need a hug. Like I need some physical connection and feel emotionally supported and physically supported. And some days it's like, look, I just need my own time. I just need to just
well, it's the permission to process, and that goes a long way, you know.
Huge. And allowing yourself that and recognizing that you're gonna have down days. Now, if I get into a situation where it's been 2 days, 3 days, and I can't shake it, that's when I know, okay, I need to talk to somebody. I need to see somebody. I need to, you know, this is maybe more serious. And being honest with yourself, checking in with yourself and doing that, I think is super important. But
and I think it's harder as a male sometimes because we have this, just because depending on how you were raised, is you can't show weakness. You can't fucking, like, you've got to suck that shit up and go. And I've always believed there is a time for that. If shit's going and hitting the fan, you've got to suck yourself up and you've got to suck yourself off, but you've got to fucking suck it up and you've got to press through. But after that, the dust settles, you've got to be willing to deal with your shit and process. And it's really hard for that vulnerability. Like for me, like when I got diagnosed, on one hand, it was a big relief. I was like, okay, this explains so much of why I've been how I am. But then I had to fucking marry the fact that, okay, I'm broken. Like then, and people say, well, no, you're not broken. No, I fucking am. Like there's something wrong. And like, but that doesn't mean that's who I am. It just means something's broken and I've got to I can fix it. I can handle it. I can do what I need to do. But, I don't know. I really have a hard time if you're like, oh no, you're fine. There's nothing, you're not less than. It's like, no, my brain is fucked up. It's way different than the average person. I'm okay with it. And I own that, and it doesn't define me. But you know, to acknowledge the fact that like what I'm dealing with is not normal. And a lot of people, because to me, that helps with realizing that not everybody is going to understand it. So when you have somebody that will, that means a lot more as a form of support than just people that are just like, oh, well, you have this, like, we'll just deal with it while you're dealing with your shit. It's a much different perspective, in my opinion. Like I am not a psychiatrist by any stretch of the imagination.
I'll tell you what, I'm gonna put a different hat on now. So I actually run a support group for disabled veterans. I'm gonna slip in my support group leader hat. And I would tell you that you're not the definition of normal, right? But you are your normal.
Yeah.
Like this is your normal. And understanding that, you know, understanding that, like, you know, if everybody's brain wavelength was all lined up, yours is different.
Yeah.
Yours is different,
and everybody is.
And exactly, everybody has their own shit. Yours is just different. Your shit is just different than anybody else has to deal with. And understanding that, accepting that, and understanding where you want to be at, because it's not, we don't have to line up to what everyone else believes is the
Well,
right.
I find there's a lot of a comparison too. It's like, well, I'm more fucked up than they are, or this and that. But for me, it's a little different because the bipolar is different than, because nothing ever happened. You know, to me, it's just how I had to accept the fact that this is how I am, right? This is how my brain is wired, whatever. And it's easier for me because I'm trying to think of how to put this more eloquently. I haven't had an experience that made me this way. Right. And so it's a little bit easier pill to swallow, I think, than, like, to me, like I don't envy people that have gone through an experience that forced them into the situation.
Sure.
Like, I was born with this. It didn't come into fruition until I was older, but it was an easier pill to swallow because it made sense of how my life is.
There wasn't an event. Nothing happened that
and so there was never a matter of, well, could I have done it? Like, there's never questioning of myself and how I got here. There's no blaming.
Like born blind. Nothing happened. That's just how I was born. This is just something I've had to live with or have to deal with now.
Yeah. So
I absolutely agree. I understand.
Yeah, okay.
Like something like PTSD, where you go, there was an event. So I once had to speak to. I was told I was speaking to a school. Stupid me, assuming I'm speaking to like high schoolers. No, I ended up speaking to like 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds.
Yeah.
But one kid asked me so he wanted to understand PTSD. And I had to, like, the first time in my life, I had to explain to a child what PTSD was. And what I came up with in the moment, I loved it so much that I still use it to this day, which is, PTSD is your brain's way of coping and understanding and analyzing and protecting itself from, it went through a very extraordinary event. It went through a very traumatic event. Something happened that your brain went, oh my goodness, I need to protect it from happening again.
Right.
So if you're in a car accident, it makes sense that getting in a car makes you nervous. It makes you uneasy. I can't drive anymore. Been sexually assaulted. You have trust issues, and you have relationship issues, and sex becomes a hard thing because it's so connected to that event. The same way, if I was at a market getting, having snipers shoot at me or explosions, well, when I go to the market in downtown wherever, yes, I'm not in the same country now, but your brain is going, oh my God, this is almost the exact same situation.
Right.
I'm on edge. I'm uneasy. I'm sweating. I'm checking everyone's hands, and like our rational brain says, like, well, you're not in combat anymore. But the brain just, it knows to protect itself under any circumstance. And so that events, like you're saying, the triggering event is something that we play a lot in our minds.
Well, that's what I should say a friend of mine, somebody I knew, described. They suffered from it pretty badly. And their thing was, as far as the actual feeling of it, was essentially replaying the same trauma over and over and over and over again and re-experiencing it every time. And they said that, that was the hardest part to recognize and move past, to learn to do that. But anyway, it's because I don't consider brain chemicals and shit are weird, right? And mental illness is, everybody experiences different. Like, your experience with PTSD is different than somebody else's experience, like how your brain processes. And it's the same way, like, people are like, oh, well, you don't seem bipolar. I'm like, well, I fucking, A, like, I'm medicated now. And B, like, the distinctive things that I hit might be much, much different than somebody else fucking hits.
Always a spectrum. It's always a spectrum. There's nothing in this world, water, H2O, like if you really analyzed it at the like, it's a spectrum, right? Like it's from here to here. So something like our brains, which I really think even scientists and brain, neurologists and all that, like, they only understand a portion of it, really.
Well, there's so many elements too that even physical science and psychology, they don't match up yet. Like, there's like, they can say, okay, this behavior does X, Y, and Z, but they can't tell you why. That's, okay, your brain synapses fired differently now. That's been rewired, but there's no complete explanation for any of it. But
we've come in science and medicine, and by all means, we've come very far. there's still so much we have yet to understand and learn, really map out. And mental health is to the whole discussion of mental health. That's a whole big topic. But the main thing is I love talking about it because I want to normalize it. And I'm as macho as any other guy. I love doing stuff with my hands,
obviously
building stuff and breaking stuff. But at the same time, I understand the same way a dude will go to the gym to get ripped. You should treat your brain as that same muscle that you want to put effort into and work on and develop.
Well, that's one big thing that doesn't get much attention at all in the U.S. is mental health. So, I don't know, it's just
better than a lot of countries. I'll tell you that much, because you're not going to go to Kenya where they're going to talk about PTSD.
Yeah, we're number one, baby.
but no, I agree with you. Like, there's tons more effort to be made there. But I think especially being open about your bipolar. Like, it's such a huge thing because we need to normalize the idea that we're not all normal.
Right.
No one is fucking normal.
Yeah. Well, one thing I think that I have a benefit of, I mean, it sucks in some areas, but like I'm essentially like diagnosed, like I'm trying to, I don't want to use this word too strongly, but I'm essentially a sociopath. Like, I'm very compartmentalized. There's no guilt. I can very much separate things and lines and whatever, manipulate, whatever. And so, but that enables me to step back and see things like I'm not emotionally attached to whatever the fuck's wrong with me. Like, and that doesn't mean I don't get emotionally invested. Basically I go from rage to like deep depression. There's not a lot of in between for me, or elation, like completely manic, fucking off the charts. But I feel like that's, as much as it makes certain things a challenge, realizing that I'm not going to get better without help is a very easy thing to separate, as opposed to where a lot of people that don't have that compartmentalization, it's a very challenging thing because whatever they're going through is very much tied into who they are, and it feels like a weakness. It feels like they're broken. It feels like that there's something wrong with them, and like first they have to, all those things I haven't had the same issue with because I can separate from them. And I have a hard time. Like, I couldn't imagine what it would be like when you feel like that there's something wrong with you because of who you are or because of what's happened, as opposed to just, seeing it in as a object, if that makes sense.
No, you're describing PTSD almost to a T. So you're spot on. Yeah. You're spot on. I've had most of those feelings.
Right. All right. Sorry, Joey. Shifting gears.
Now that you guys took my serious minute and turned it into a serious half hour.
Hey.
No.
You're basically like a fucking piece of shit in this interview. You're contributing nothing to this.
All interesting information has come out of a question that I asked. All right. So you just looking at your bio here.
I want to know about the comedy shit.
I do too. So you get your life back under control. You start doing volunteer charity work in like you said, mentoring disabled veterans. One line in here that really stood out to me, it says you started saying yes to everything that came your way, which I think is a big deal. Is like, if you're saying yes to everything, then that means that there are some things that don't sound appealing that you're agreeing to do, or they sound, for lack of a better term, scary. And I think that's a big thing, is like, the more things that we do that frighten us, again, for lack of a better term, frighten us, the easier it is to deal with things that, because you have control over doing that thing that's frightening. So the more that you voluntarily subject yourself to something that's, quote, scary, then the easier it is to deal with things that you don't have control over, that are a little bit off-putting or scary or whatever. Anyway, that stood out to me. So
do you still say yes to everything?
I've gotten better.
I was say there's a truck stop between here and in fucking Maryland that I can meet you at.
I've gotten better at picking and choosing.
Okay, sure. Okay. I got 2 inches with your name on it.
Round or long? Just curious.
Oh, both.
Dealer's choice.
So to understand, I mean, again, we're skipping. This is years of kind of going through different things, but talking about going through the extremes where I was depressed and just realized I had my fan I was depressed and I was isolating. I was not doing anything. There would be weeks where I didn't leave my house because of what I was going through and didn't understand what I was going through at the time. 2 years later, when I had kind of processed that stuff, found a really good mentor who kind of walked me through and understanding, medicating and counseling and things like that, getting to a good point where in my life where I went, I missed so many opportunities that I didn't want to miss another one.
Yeah.
And so just saying yes to everything, because, I said yes to one thing and it went well. And I said yes to another thing and it went well, and another thing and it went better than the other things. And realizing, oh shit, if I open myself up to more opportunities, then I could, and there was a little bit of at the beginning going like, I'm a disabled veteran, man. I got tickets to a ball game and I got tickets to a suite at a football game. And next thing I know, I'm backstage at this concert and I'm like, oh shit, I can really play this thing up. And
I'm just going to go ahead and say that being discharged for mental illness and not going through shit, it's not nearly as cool. I'm sure that you wouldn't go through the same shit over again, but I'm just saying the perks that you got as a result are way better.
Really opened some doors.
When did you get married?
After I got injured, I met my wife while I was convalescing, while I was healing, and I was at the hospital.
Because I was gonna say, if you had a gap, I was like, how much did you use that to get some pussy? But I
never said that I didn't. I never said that I didn't. If my wife knows, I can share about it, that there might have been a few nurses that helped me out in a difficult time.
Bravo, sir.
We'll just say that, God bless America.
I'm just saying in the same situation coming out, if I would have had any spent, because the last year I was separated on the way to divorce when I was in Hawaii, dude. I went from a serial monogamist to only banging like 3 girls to like, I did a lot in like an 8-month period. It was stupid.
Well, I mean, to touch on that is that to understand, I raised by a single mom. I was raised by mostly women, my grandmother, my aunt, very few male influences in my house. So I had a very healthy respect for women and things like that. But I also learned how to talk to women, how to, for lack of a better word, how to manipulate women.
Absolutely. That's what I was going to say. The older you get, the more you can, like, I've always joked and said, it's like being a shark, man. You can walk into the bar and smell the insecurity or daddy issues in the room. And then you can, Anyway.
So in the years, and then understanding that I went into the Army, I was infantry, I was airborne, which means we're even that much cockier. And think we're that much.
My uncle was the same way, and that was like they'd give away their berets for a certain thing.
So there were. I mean, this is no bullshit. I would literally, we were in Italy, and I would literally just walk out of the base and be like, "You, let's go," and and women would follow. Like it was just something about it that
it's unfair to the regular human being. It's unfair.
It is, and you really believe in that level, and so that was a whole nother mind fuck, because going from the cockiest guy on the planet to I couldn't scratch my nose, I couldn't wipe my ass in the hospital. You learn humility real quick, but no,
I don't remember where we were before that.
Yeah, I fucking
tangent. No, I do.
What were we talking about?
Well, so I was just saying yes to everything that stood out to me, and I enjoyed it. So you got certified in scuba. You learned to play golf. You played in the World Championship of Racquetball tournament. You made the cover of Racquetball magazine. Now you have a note here that says that's a funny story.
That's a funny story. I always like to throw that out there, that I've been on the cover of Racquetball
and that's
magazine.
all the time we have.
No, the whole thing is I like to throw it out there because it's one of those, was it the feather in my cap is that I was on the cover of Racquetball magazine. It was a group shot. We were at an event. And I'm like,
I didn't even know there was a Racquetball magazine, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
If it exists, it's kind of like Rule 37 for porn. If it exists, there's a magazine for it.
Please tell me that you have a copy of that magazine somewhere.
I think I do. I think I do somewhere it might be in the pile of belongings back there, my collection. I'll send you a picture of it.
Yeah, thanks. So
continue. Let him continue.
No, we were at an event. We were at the World Series of racquetball, and a good friend of mine is Rhonda Racich, who is at the time was like the number 1 or number 2 female player in the world.
Damn.
Winning gold, and like she's super awesome. And it was just a bunch of us hanging out, and they took a picture that ended up on the cover. So, you know, I can legally say that I made the cover of Racquetball magazine, but it's a group shot that I'm barely in, and so it's just one of those things I like to throw out there.
I called it. There was some bullshit in that fucking bio right there. I called it.
That doesn't sound like bullshit. He's on the cover of Racquetball magazine.
Legally true. I can stand by my claim. I never lie. The validity is up to you.
So you took flying lessons. You got you're certified skydiver.
By the way, I've been comparing myself to you every time reading the bio. I was like, okay, I've done that. Haven't done that. I've done that. Oh, God damn it. Fuck this guy. You know, that's been my reading the bio. So that's why I threw it away. I don't give a shit about this guy's bio anymore.
So you said this earlier, but it's in your bio that you drove a stock car around a NASCAR track. You learned archery.
Yep.
Skeet shooting.
Mm-hmm. I'm a master skeet shooter.
And the famous 2 words, much more. So, but
and that was followed by the Google me bitches.
No. The next line is, eventually I found stand-up comedy.
And we want to know about the stand-up.
That's what I'm interested in. I mean, obviously the open mics, you do that. We have a guy that listens, and he's been on an episode, called him before, but he's actually going to come sit in with us at some point.
He's occasionally funny on Twitter.
Yeah, his name's Hunter Edwards.
We shit on Hunter a lot.
He does some stand-up here and there, but open mic scene, where were you at? I mean, I see DC Improv, Hartford Funny Bone, and Gotham in New York City.
God damn it, Gotham. That's
all 3 are clubs I've heard of before, but now Gotham, that's the one that I'm like, ooh, Gotham Comedy Club in New York. That's that can be brutal.
Yeah, no, I'm very fortunate. The truth of the matter
is, humble son of a bitch.
Hashtag humble brag. Here we go.
Humble brag. I live by the humble brag. No, the truth is, so again, it kind of all ties back into my recovery and kind of my journey. And the fact is that I was doing well physically. I was doing well mentally. And again, always trying to say yes to things, getting better at picking which things, because, you know, you can only be the high school, what do you want to call it? Like captain of the game so many times where you're like, all right, I got to stop doing this.
You really are a nerd. You didn't know high school quarterback. Wow.
No. Like you know, when the like a high school will be like, we want to honor a veteran and he's going to be coach for the day. And like, there's only so many times you can do that before you're like, all right, I really got to stop coming to these two scrimmages and thinking like it's going to be a big deal. But no, I was at a point where I was trying to, I still deal with social anxiety. I still deal with being uncomfortable in crowds and things like that. So trying to challenge myself and force myself to do things that are outside my comfort zone and my bubble. And I've always been a fan of comedy. I've always been a fan of performing. I was in high school musicals and things like that when I was young. And
you know Zac Efron?
very much like Zac Efron.
He's gotten a little bit fat. Like I would have banged him in a heartbeat like 2 years ago, but he's put on some weight, and you know.
I think he's in a relationship. That's probably why.
That's probably why.
But the idea being that like when I got injured and when I was going through this stuff, I lost that part of myself. I lost that part of myself that really enjoyed making people laugh and really enjoyed being the center of attention and all these things. And so when I got to a better place, I found out about a program in the DC area called ASAP, Armed Services Arts Partnership. And the idea is that they for free, that's a big, living on a disabled veterans budget, that's like the best thing. But they for free, they teach these arts programs, whether it be art, spoken word poetry, writing, stand-up comedy. They teach these programs for free to veterans. And I said, okay, this will be a fun way to learn a new skill, challenge myself, right? Because I'm putting myself in the spotlight. I'm putting myself on stage. And really what it boiled down to was I was going to learn a skill. I was going to cross it off the bucket list like so many other things in the bio. Like I did that thing, I crossed it off, and then I was going to move on. But in taking the classes, in getting to perform at the graduation show, I fell in love with it. I really did. It was so much fun. I met such amazing people. I really enjoyed learning the skill of taking the things that were true to me and putting them in those digestible, bite-sized jokes to give to an audience and to laugh at. You know, taking those traumas, those things that I've been through, the way that I see the world, the way that I interact with the world, and putting it in a way that makes other people laugh. And I fell in love with it. I really did. And I realized that it was something that I wanted to continue with after it's like a 6-week, it was like, they say it's a 6-week class. It's 6 classes that are like
one a week. Right.
Yeah, it was once a week. So 6 classes, a little graduation show. And then, and then from there, I just kept going with it. I started hitting open mics, and I had the opportunities to perform at the DC Improv. I did Gotham. I got invited to Caroline's, which is a big one in New York. I wasn't able to make it. I actually entered myself into the World Series of Comedy.
Oh,
That's
nice.
an actual thing, and placed in the top 40 in the Northeast region, which allowed me an opportunity to perform and get voted on to go up to nationals. Unfortunately, that was like the month my son was born.
Right.
I pulled myself out of the comedy. I made the top 40, and then I didn't perform to progress in the competition. But yeah, so I've even got. I mean, this is crazy to even say. I got invited by former President Jimmy Carter to perform for him and his wife. They had this little gala, and they asked me and another veteran comic to perform in their.
Go ahead and drop the name. Go ahead and drop the name.
He means military veteran comic.
I don't know.
Yes, military veteran comic. Military veteran.
I take it back. Then I don't care.
No, another person like me.
Okay.
Veteran that does comedy.
I thought you meant veteran in the sense of they.
I always have to be careful with that. It's a weird turn of phrase, but yes, a veteran that did comedy. And we got to perform. We got to perform for Jimmy Carter, which is weird.
That's
weird.
Cool. Did he laugh, like non-courtesy laugh?
You know, here's the thing. I don't know. Because here's the thing. Like, he's literally 4 feet in front of me, 3 feet to my left or my right. He's there. And the thing is, I knew that if I look at him, I was going to completely just draw a blank. Like, I knew I would. So I stared forward the entire time. I stared at the floor, and I just did my jokes. Now, I have pictures of him laughing.
Oh, okay.
So I assume he
Are they sure they weren't pictures when the other guy was up?
That's possible too. But no, I he was very fortunate. He came up afterwards, and we shook hands, and he said he loved it, and it was very nice, and we took a picture together. And again, just very, very fortunate to be able to say yes to things that come up. And
it's funny. We've both talked about hitting up comedy open mics and different shit like that. But the thing for me, like, I'll get a guitar in front of me and I'll get up in front of fucking anybody. I don't know how many people, but the thought of getting up with just a mic and telling jokes, it's horrifying to me. And I don't have stage fright. I'm a narcissistic motherfucker. But the thought of that particular thing, and the thought of maybe not being good at something, fucking, like, I won't do it. I can't. I want to.
It's a bucket list thing to me, and that may be disrespectful to comedians. I don't know, but it's a bucket list thing. So I've recently found out about a place here in Knoxville that does an open mic on Sunday nights, and
we can go tomorrow. By the way,
at some point in the future, I'm going to go check it out just to feel out what it's like, what the crowd's like, what the comics are like. Are they putting any stipulations? Because like Zany's in Nashville, if you go do their open mic, like your first time up, you get 90 seconds, no bad language.
Yeah.
And something, I don't know what it's like.
But I mean, open mics though, if it's anything like an open mic for music, like it's a tough it's way harder than actually performing for a show of people that want to hear music, because you're up there mostly, the whole crowd is other fucking musicians, the whole crowd is people that are super fucking judgy of your shit, even though 3/4 of them fucking suck ass. They're still pretentious fucks. Because like my rating for open mics, at least with music, you usually have like 5% that are really fucking good. You've got about, maybe 15% after that are okay, they're all right, and then the other 80% just fucking suck ass, like they're so bad. And you would never say that. Being another musician, you want to be encouraging and be like, oh, you did a good job, especially you have a lot of new people that are just starting out, but and inside you're like, fuck these guys. This guy could fucking choke on a dick and I wouldn't care.
I mean, you kind of spot on with the comedy aspect of it. In an open mic,
you goddamn right I am.
It really is. So I mean, and again, a lot of open mics are very different, but the idea that for the most part, an open mic is a night that the bar isn't busy, right? They're just trying to they're trying to draw a crowd. Right. So this is fucking Tuesday night. This is Wednesday night, and the people that are drinking there are people that are probably down on their luck. Not in the mood for comedy. If you're drinking on a Tuesday night at a bar by yourself, like you're not in the mood for comedy. It's so 98% of the audience is just other people waiting for their turn.
Yeah,
are heads down. Like, okay, my joke is the thing. Okay, I'm gonna go into this. Like, they're not paying attention. They're not listening. Open mics are really, really tough. Yeah, really tough.
Well, my concern, and I don't know about Joey, but like for me, is we have such a fucked up sense of humor, and there's no too soon for a lot. So for me, like, I don't know if I could get up and tell something that wouldn't just make everybody go like, "Oh, fuck this guy," right? Because the shit that we think's funny or that I think is funny is really fucked up.
Well, there are words you're not even supposed to say anymore. So, I mean, that's one of those things.
Well, I say cunt a lot.
Yeah, I'm not talking have a hard about time cunt.
Oh, I know you're not. But
I mean, it's so there's certain spots that are more, I know plenty of open mics in the DC area that are like just cut like completely. You can go as far as you humanly like if you want to get your ass beat for saying something, that's your prerogative. Like it's open. But yeah, there are plenty of places that try to steer clean, that try to garner to a certain audience, things like that. But yeah, I mean, it really is. I'm fortunate to be in an area that while I was really like, I'm less heavy on the comedy now because I have the show, but when I was doing the comedy, like there really is, you can find 2 or 3 shows on a Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night. I recognize that if you're in the Dayton, Ohio area, you're probably not hitting up a Tuesday comedy special.
Right.
You're not. But being in the DC area, Maryland, Baltimore, Virginia, all these areas, there's tons of spots you can hit. And so getting that stage time and having places where you can perform, very lucky to do so. And in comedy, I hate to say it, for people that aren't in the business, it really is a lot of times not even how funny you are, but who you know.
Yeah. That's most. But if I might say, I'm going to suck his dick for just a quick second. Sure. But especially from a fucking army fuck that, I've known a lot of army assholes. He is very well spoken and very easy to talk to. Like, yeah, my not all by any means, but a lot of times army guys aren't the most intelligent of the bunch. They're smarter than Marines, but there's something there's something to be
much. I mean, really, smarter than Marine is like saying.
Yeah, and not as better than Navy, and then you got the chair force, but most of those guys were nerds. That was like the nerd version of the military.
I'm not picking fights here. My audience is mostly military.
I'm not. I get it. I get it.
I appreciate all the services,
except the Coast Guard.
They're great, except the Coast Guard. Fuck the Coast Guard.
The pinnacle of my Coast Guard career
was the park rangers of the ocean.
Was getting to drink with all the deadliest catch fucking guys up in Dutch Harbor. But that was the highlight.
That's like the Medal of Honor for the Army, right there. the highlight of his career.
My God.
So what was Gotham like?
Gotham City?
Yeah.
Gotham like Batman? No. No, Gotham, New York. I got to perform at an up and comer showcase, which was really cool to be invited to be considered an up and comer at the time. It was terrifying, and I've actually gotten to perform twice at Gotham. So the first time it was a charity thing. It was a charity event for that organization that I talked about, ASAP. They invited me up, so it was kind of cheating, right? Because it was their event, and they invited me. So I'm like, I got to put on the bio, I performed at Gotham.
Right.
Never said that it was because I was at my charity that trained me to do comedy. Now, when I got to perform, I did a pretty good job. And for that charity, I got to perform with Janine Garofalo, Roy Woods Jr.
Fuck you.
Hold on, what was that third one? What was the third one there?
Seth Herzog is a very funny comedian. I forget the name, but there was a woman from Saturday Night Live that was performing. So I got to perform with some pretty cool comedians and some from legendary people. And the show, the club runner was there, the showrunner was there, and they asked me, like, would I be interested in coming back for not everybody got that opportunity, but would I be interested in coming back for an up and comer showcase? And I was like, yeah, like getting to perform for Gotham is awesome. No matter what, like you're on a stage that like Eddie Murphy was on, and Chris Rock, and like all these, Kevin Hart, like all these legendary people were on. But in the back of my mind,
Kevin Hart's a stretch.
Yeah, well, come on. But like it was always in the back of my mind. Well, like I'm doing it for ASAP. It was a charity thing. That's
still pretty cool.
Yeah. But then to get asked by the people that own the club and things like that to come back and perform for a real audience that hadn't paid a ticket for a charity, like this was I think it was a Wednesday night or a Thursday night. So to get to perform for that crowd was something I'll never forget. And that one had me terrified. So I had already performed at Gotham, but the second time I was terrified, completely terrified to perform because nobody was there to support me. Like that was just a crowd of people wanting to watch comedy.
How long was your set?
I did 5 minutes.
What's your opening joke?
Oh shit.
Opening joke. It's so weird because it's again, and it's a hard thing. Anytime you tell a comedian, tell me a joke, because it's like with me, especially, I'm a storyteller. And so it all flows in and of itself. But I
smell excuses.
That's our cop out. I opened with the fact that I'm missing a middle finger, obviously, because of my injuries. And, it kind of rolls into this whole idea. I'm like, I talk fast. I'm a New Yorker at heart. I talk fast. I talk with my hands. If you see me do this, I am doing air quotes. This is not apostrophe end quote.
Bravo.
All right. That's better than Hunter's opening joke.
Yeah. It's a literary joke. It's supposed to break the tension. And just people laughing while I get into some of the deeper stuff. But
I have a pop culture question for him. Unless you have something else you're wanting.
No, go for it.
So Marvel Netflix shows.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts?
Is there a question behind?
No, I was getting there. I had to adjust my dick. All right, it's small and it was poking into my boxers, and I had to move it around. So opinion on them, because people have very strong opinions on those, and they're all gone now, obviously. And I mean like Jessica Jones, Defenders, Luke Cage, Daredevil.
I'm aware of
Punisher. Yeah, because some people might be like, "Oh, you talking about whatever the fuck Shield and all that shit."
No, specifically the Netflix exclusive shows. If you're asking my opinion on how they were,
because it's a very divisive topic, or it was.
I thought Daredevil was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Punisher, which was kind of an afterthought, but Punisher I thought was great. It was a really good show. Luke Cage, The really thing that, let me put it this way. The good thing that they did with those shows is that they really reflect well on the character and kind of where they come from. In a place like New York City, everyone has this image of New York City as being this kind of one place.
Right.
But really, it's broken up into these very small places that all equate to a bigger.
And they're pretty isolated, really, from each other for the most part.
Very isolated. One block can be all the difference between a culture clash. And so for me, what resonated most was actually Luke Cage, because he's in Harlem. That's where I grew up.
Nice.
Whereas, like the Iron Fist was about like upper class, Lower East Side, rich money, and things like that. The weakest, if I'm being honest, the weakest show was probably the Danny Rand Iron Fist.
Oh, the Iron Fist sucked ass.
So disappointing, because I feel like they could have did a really good job. And if you really read into like why it wasn't great, like they gave the guy like a week of martial arts training, and he's supposed to represent a character that is the best martial artist of all time.
Yeah, it's so
like
bad.
A week of training.
Yeah.
So you really feel bad for the guy, because it's like, what could you do? If I gave you a week of martial arts training, could you imitate the best fighter of all time?
Right.
Probably not. But no, I think Daredevil was good. Luke Cage was pretty good. I really like Jessica Jones.
I liked the first season of Jessica Jones.
Yes. And the funny thing is, I think people like us who are broken, I think the idea of that PTSD, which it was never really classified as such,
right?
But really seeing the emotional, just kind of brokenness that she
and David Tennant is one of the best goddamn villains. He's so good in that role.
So damn
it's
good.
David Tennant, right? Am I saying his name?
Yeah, David Tennant, right up there with Loki and some of the greatest.
Villains. He was, and he's brilliant anyway, but especially in that role. I thought Luke Cage was fantastic. I mean, the soundtrack alone was worth the listen. Or the watch. I felt like Daredevil started amazing and slowly unraveled as it went along towards the end. And then like it was so good. And it was almost like they were like, the ship is sinking. Let's just throw some shit on the screen and we'll call it good. Season 2 was fantastic, which led into the Punisher shit. And I thought the Punisher was fucking great.
I was so disappointed that the Punisher couldn't do more, because I really feel like they hit their stride at the end of his series.
Yeah.
And
I felt like,
let me tell you something. I've met the dude. Super awesome. Just the greatest guy.
Well, when they first saw him cast as the Punisher, I was like, I don't know how that's going to be. And then he just fucking owned it. I couldn't imagine now anybody else in that role after seeing him in it.
Yeah. That, and I think there's a lot of people calling for like Charlie Cox to play Daredevil again. Like, oh my God, he did such a great job. And
I want to see Michael J. Fox play the Punisher. Like Parkinson's Michael J. Fox.
I'm trying to picture.
You wouldn't even notice if he was firing an automatic weapon.
I want to say, I'm the biggest Michael J. Fox fan of all time. You probably can't see it, but I actually have a flux capacitor.
Nice.
Signed by Marty and Doc.
That's awesome.
So I'm like, literally, if you ask what's favorite movie of all time, Back to the Future. Easy, hands down, greatest movie. I love the guy. I've met him.
I was wanting a remake of Back to the Future. One that hold on. Hear me out. Not one that tried to redo the whole thing, but just kept the feel of the similar casting with just updated visuals. I like almost a shot for shot type of remake, not a complete reboot out there left field. It would just, to me, I'd like to see it. But I don't think it would be possible to find somebody with the same chemistry as Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd did in the film, though.
Yeah, it's funny we talk
holograms. They did it with Tupac.
We talk about this on the show very, very often, in that how necessary are reboots and sequelizations, spin-offs, and all the different classifications now, right? Because there's reimaginings, reboots, soft boots, hard boots, right? Spin-offs, all these things. Back to the Future is, I swear to God, if they touch it, I will fucking burn down Hollywood. The whole fucking thing fucking Boulevard to West Boulevard to Palm Beach.
Okay. Well, then if you could pick a film, being a pop culture guy, to remake, reboot, reimagine, whatever, what film would that be?
Oh my God, there's so many. There's so many. Shit. I mean, well, Spider-Man's been redone
right.
3 times now.
Obviously not Back to the Future.
If you can't tell, I'm huge.
Oh shit.
Spider-Man buff from way back when. Oh man, if I
Joey says The Goonies. That's one of his.
Oh, the Goonies. The Goonies is a good one. I feel like that was.
I don't think you could get away with sloth in today's age. They would have to change him around a little bit.
Yeah.
You would just have to be like a dumb guy. Otherwise,
I think you could, because you just normalize the situation,
right?
Yeah,
but you're an ableist, so
yeah, I want to enable people like that to be able to have roles in Hollywood. Sure.
That's such a great question, man. I don't know. See, this is the thing about being a pop culture guy, is like I take that shit serious.
Well, you have emotional attachment, yeah.
Yeah, I have to like do pros and cons list. I'm gonna have to do a pie chart.
I want it off the fucking top of your. I want you to commit to something.
Oh man, I got it. I want to see. What was it? Remember Johnny
Remember
Five
the
is Alive.
That's exactly what I thought. What?
Short Circuit.
Oh hell yeah!
Not bad.
A modern fucking drone equivalent of Johnny Five is Alive.
That's the best answer we could have hoped for.
I mean, I think, we get fucking Spielberg involved. We get J.J. Abrams, some fucking explosions and lens flares and go to town.
I would only watch it if Michael Bay produced or directed.
Absolutely.
Okay, I do have a question because we had this discussion the other day. The Transformers movie, which were a raping of our childhood for the most part. Like, I thought, in my opinion, that Bumblebee was probably the best one, other than the very first, like, out of the series.
As far as the Bumblebee movie or the
Bumblebee movie, the solo Bumblebee movie. I thought it was one of the more well done out of the series.
And I haven't seen it.
And I think that's easier for a reason, though, because it was a very specific tale to that one character.
Right.
That makes for better storytelling. Anytime, and this is what Marvel's done really well, because they can do those singular movies on specific characters and build them a universe, build a whole story around them, a whole world around them, and then bring them all together for the Avengers. That's what makes it good. That's why DC has kind of struggled.
Yeah.
Because you went Superman, which was it was an interesting take
for what it was. Yep.
Hands down. But it was his, and it was a vision of his. But you went straight from that to Batman and Superman, with Wonder Woman included, straight to Justice League, and it didn't work because we didn't really get those individual characters. And it's where the kind of Transformers movies as a whole struggled, because they were just throwing all these characters at you. And
Michael Bay.
Interchangeable.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, I one day hope to get Michael Bay on my show, so
that's fine.
Anything.
That's fine.
I think Michael Bay is a great actor.
If you ever have him on, you can say, "Hey, man, the guys from B through F, they say fuck you, dude."
I think he's a great filmmaker. I applaud his direction. Around here.
He's not as bad as Jerry Bruckheimer, though.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think Jerry Bruckheimer is a great filmmaker.
I want to see Waterworld redone. I love Waterworld. It's one of my favorite movies.
Very underrated movie. Underrated movie.
Thank you. Joey hates it.
It's not a good movie.
Terrible.
It's not a good movie.
I think
I love Kevin Costner, and that's not a good movie.
I think, given, again, I'm the kind of guy that I love to dig into the, like, what got us here? What was the behind the scenes? And you really find out about what they were working with and what they were working up against, and the budget they had and all these things for what they made and the vision that they were able to produce. It's an incredible film. And again,
people talked about too how much it tanked in the States, but what it made worldwide was fucking ridiculous.
We're not talking about how much money it made. We're talking about whether it's a good movie.
I think it's a great movie. But my favorite movie of all time, my favorite hands down, is Demolition Man. I love it so much.
Oh my God, I love some Demolition Man. Oh, that's such a great movie.
I like this guy.
Again,
I have no problem with Demolition
underrated movie.
And they announced the sequel officially, which I don't know how that'll be, but I'm pretty excited about it.
I'm so excited. We talked about that on the show. I am over the moon. I need to understand. I need more information because right now it's like all we have is it's happening, and I need more than that. I need more than that because I need to understand. Is this as we're talking? 20 years after the first one came out? Like, are we talking? This is going to take place 20 years after the first movie, and now he's coming out of retirement because some shit happened. Are we doing a flashback, flash forward, side quest time?
Ryan Gosling playing a young Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, like is a clone of him gonna come and they're gonna de-age him, and like I need to know these things.
Right.
I can't sleep peacefully without knowing these things.
Yeah.
No, I love Demolition Man.
That's my go-to, especially when I'm feeling shitty. Like I'll watch.
Oh man. And you got to have those movies.
Have you seen Upgrade, by the way?
Upgrade. That's the one where he had the
chip put in.
Yeah, the chip, and it changed.
That was so much better than I thought it was going to be, especially the ending. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Sleeper. That was definitely a sleeper. I love those movies where you're going into like this is going to be a B movie, a C movie, a B movie,
right?
And it surprises you, and it is a very different take on it. So
one movie, and I spread the gospel on this film, and if you haven't seen it, it's called Miami Connection. It's one of the worst movies ever made, in my opinion. It's awful, but it's so awful, and it was taking itself so seriously that it's magical. It was made by a guy from Korea, a Taekwondo instructor, master, whatever, that really believed the world could be changed through the power and harmony of Taekwondo. So this whole movie is based around a rock band that are all best friends, that are all Taekwondo black belts, that battle a gang of drug dealer ninjas to do good and spread the word of Taekwondo. It's fucking amazing.
Sounds amazing. You know what that reminds me of? A very offshoot of it. But remember, was it Three Ninjas?
Yeah, Three Ninjas.
Yeah,
Three Ninjas. It's it has that feel to it. Without watching it,
this is a rated R version of that with grown men playing in a band together. It's so good.
Yes, and now I was a huge fan of Three Ninjas.
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day. Oh my God, I grew up on this stuff. I thought that was real life. Like I thought, like that could be me.
Yeah, you just have to train hard.
So yeah, I'm all in. Miami Connection. I'm gonna take a note, and that'll be on the watch list. So
yeah, you'll thank me later. It's
I will absolutely do that. On the show, you get credit for me watching that show.
Sweet. Just be like, if you like this show and it's the cleanliness of it, do not listen to this podcast.
Fantastic.
So before we get out of here, I got a couple of videos I want to show you guys to get some reactions for you.
Okay.
From you.
All right.
So let me give me just a second to share my screen.
By the way, you look like 40 years older in your Zoom video than you do in real life.
Because that light's shining on me, and so
you look really shitty in real life, but
you're right.
Not that bad.
Extra shitty.
All right, so I gotta make a switch here real quick.
It's like if Fat Val Kilmer had a baby with fucking Danny Trejo.
Wow. That is a picture right there.
With Buddy Holly joining in on the three-way.
All right, can you guys make sure I'm sharing this?
The answer is no. The answer is always no.
I thought the answer was always yes.
Yeah, I say yes to everything except if.
All right, so you guys see my screen?
See Zoom?
Yeah.
All right, so let me turn this up here a little bit so you can hear.
You're not full screening that shit? What the fuck?
It won't go full screen. So I got a couple of videos. We have a TikTok account strictly for me to be able to find videos to show on here. So
all right.
So anyway.
So as we infringe some copyrights here.
It's no copyright for TikTok.
Did you get his permission before sharing his content?
Don't have to.
What the fuck are you doing with your life?
What are you talking about?
I thought you were queuing it up to play.
I'm going to play. I'm waiting on you to shut the fuck up. So, okay. We're probably going to get a loop here as you guys start talking, but we'll find out.
What are you doing?
I don't know. I don't know why it's not working. We tested it out earlier and it worked just fine. Let's try this again.
Hey, here's a cool tip for you. If your girlfriend ever holds up her phone and says, "Do you think this girl is pretty?" You look at the picture and you go, "She is yucky." And I bet your girlfriend will touch you on your no-nos later. You're welcome. Love you so much.
That's what my son calls his mute your fucking mic there. That's what my son calls his dick. He said it's his no-nos.
His no-nos?
His no-nos. I've told you this, Jude.
I don't remember that.
And then I got to call him his secret pencil. So that's what I'll call it.
Secret pencil. That's pretty good. So, all right, I got another one for you because this was a little more up our alley as far as our line of humor. I don't know how if I don't know if you're easily offended, but this is just some people playing a game online, and this video showed up and it said, obviously we don't support racism when they show this video, but here you go anyway.
Great intro.
Have you noticed they've been using that commercial for like 13 years? I still see it on TV.
No, they made they changed.
Yeah,
they changed Jake
now it's
to
a black guy for some reason. I don't really know what happened there.
He went from Jake to Jaquan.
Jesus Christ.
What are you wearing? My piece? My Glock?
Where my motherfucking J's, bitch?
Got my Timbs on.
And then she's just like, he sounds black. Well, his name's Jaquan, so.
All right.
Wow. So what's funny is my oldest is a big, gamer kid, and it amazes me how racist, like the shit they say for like 12-year-olds or 10-year-olds on that shit. Like I was like, he was playing downstairs and had the volume up and didn't have his headphones on. And I was like, how old is that kid? He sounds like 8 years old and he's dropping fucking N-bombs like it's nothing. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I played Call of Duty.
He got his ass fucking chewed the other day because he got kicked off of the PlayStation Network. Eli did.
Oh, yeah?
He was banned for like a 3-day ban for sending fucking hateful, harassing messages to other gamers.
That's funny.
Yeah. With a lot of...
Because that does not sound like him.
No, not at all.
Kudos.
A lot of gay homophobic slurs were used in his messages.
Oh, my God.
About beat his ass.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Which
I noticed we're not hearing a lot from Michael in these these videos,
and that's fine.
I mean, I'm waiting for my opening. No,
you got the fucking thing turned down. What the fuck are you doing?
I didn't touch that thing.
You did, obviously, because it was all the way down.
I didn't touch that. That's fine. Go ahead, Michael. What are you saying?
No, I giggled like a little bitch on that one. Because again, I mean, yeah,
it's the military background, dude.
I've seen some, I'm a Call of Duty player myself, so I've seen some just really fucked up things that on there where I'm just like, wow. And like you said, it's a voice of a prepubescent.
Yeah.
Oh, Jack and Coke.
And yeah, I'm just like, wow. I don't remember myself at 8 years old being that homophobic / racist.
No.
So yeah, but then again, I grew up in New York City.
Right.
I knew if I said certain words, I'd get my ass beat. So
absolutely.
Maybe people are brave online. People are,
well, that's one thing we've talked about before, that part of the change, right, and people's fucking nutting up to shit is the fact that, like, used to, and I'm going to sound like an old, like when we were young, but the fact is, especially you can relate to this growing up where you grew up, that there's a base level of respect because you don't know who can beat the fucking shit out of you.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a line that, like, we might talk shit, but I'm not going to say certain things because you're going to beat the absolute fuck out of me if I say the wrong thing, or you could.
And so I grew up in an era of online gaming meant that the wire connected to my Xbox was physically wired and connected to someone else's Xbox.
Right. But anonymity goes a long way in what you're willing to say and not say.
If I said some shit, I'd get like literally a knock at my door.
Yeah.
Because the other guy was connected to the other end of that cable.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up in an age where, you know, even after once online gaming became a thing, we had LAN parties in the barracks.
Yeah.
Wires were going out windows and downstairs and through the, you know, another window. And so I couldn't get away with saying some shit because I knew the wire in my Xbox was connected to someone else's Xbox.
Right. Well, so I actually have something on that for you, and I think you'll be able to explain it as well as me, but after we watch whatever fucking shit Joey's got pulled up.
Let's go.
Don't you just hate when men say they find better pussy than yours is? Well, my gorilla grip is banging. So I suggest you get your shit together.
Her gorilla grip is banging.
Wow. That was amazing.
Oh, God. I knew I'd be able to get one of them in there. If her
mouth is indication of her vagina, then I would not say that gorilla grip is banging.
Gorilla grip. That's such a visceral.
It really is.
I immediately I jumped to like the Gorilla Tape, right? Like that 100.
Right. Yeah. The glue.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's intimidating. That's scary. I don't know if I don't want Gorilla grip. No.
Get your shit together, she said. Her gorilla grip is banging.
Okay. So, and this is my last thing that I had in my mind, but it came to this as we were watching those videos. It came to me. It came on me. That I've tried to explain to people once or twice, as far as the sense of humor goes and the things you'll laugh at, that coming out of the military, a lot of times people will find some of the things that we'll find funny or have said, if they knew about them, incredibly offensive. But what I've tried to describe is when you're in certain situations, there's such a diverse group of people, being able to fucking bag on each other, whether it be race, sexual orientation, whatever the case may be, is what kind of, it makes some glue between people because you know you have this level of trust, lack of a better word, that like I can make fun of you for your background, you can make fun of me for mine, and it's kind of a camaraderie type of thing, but it influences your sense of humor because a lot of times that's all you fucking have with where you're at. So if you can't laugh at those differences or the really fucked up shit that happens, you'll go fucking crazy. Like you have to have kind of a fucked up sense of humor. But to me, that applies also to the real world. I mean, there's so much shitty stuff going on. If you can't fucking laugh about some of it, or at least be able to process that way, it makes life fucking shitty if you don't have a sense of humor about the shitty things, in my opinion.
Yeah. Was there a question in all of that? Or
I was just wondering what if fuck you for one, but if in your experience, if that's a similar thing. Because like I worked, one of the guys I worked with, this is kind of don't ask, don't tell, but he was obviously gay as shit. And we used to bag on him, but he gave it right back. He would be like, "Oh man, I'm so hungry this morning. The last thing I ate to eat was that fucking cum from that dude." And we'd laugh our asses off, you know, but we would also throw it back out. Like throwing out the word faggot was not like this, "I can't believe you're calling me that." That was part of the back and forth, you know, and depending on the shit you gave. And there was never an ounce of disdain or hate or dislike. Like that was just part of that culture, and not in a negative way for us. Because if somebody was ever like, whoa, that's enough, people usually would back the fuck off for the most part. But it's for the thin-skinned.
No, you're right. I mean, for the first part, knowing that you're a veteran right away, you can see I'm giving you more shit than I would give anyone else in any other interview. It's just a natural thing that I think we develop in the military. You do have to have a certain level of a thick skin. We go, whether it's training or deployments or whatever, we go through more physically, emotionally than most people do day-to-day situation. So we have to develop, I think, a certain thick skin about things especially when you're in a combat situation.
Yeah.
I mean, like we talked about earlier, where there were times where like we would get just fucking raged up and have these like, oh my God, I can't even put words to it. You're just so bottled up with things, and you're like, all right, we have an issue. We put on the boxing gloves and we just beat the hell out. Like we just go at it, and then it's done. And then it's done because you let all that stuff out.
Yep.
There's a very unquantifiable thing where if I'm in a job like the infantry, where I have to go out into this hostile territory, knowing that there's most of the people around there want me to die. Like they want to kill me. They want me out of there. And maybe my buddy, the guy that I've served with for years, died yesterday. Or maybe the guy that I served with, or a guy that was in the truck with me, we were in an IED and he's gone. Whether he lived or died, he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to go back out the next day. Like how do you process that? How do you continue the mission? You have to have a sense of humor about it. Yep. You have to have this dark, really dark, dry, like, well, fuck it, at least he gets to go home. Like, you have to have some fucked up, really bad humor about it.
And sometimes it's hard for me to filter that to around normal people. Not always now, but sometimes.
Absolutely. Like, I tried to explain to people, you have to understand, like, imagine the most like a ticking bomb, right? You have to diffuse this bomb. That's 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds where you're under the most just craziest amount of pressure you've ever been in your life. Now you take that feeling, that emotion, and now you're in a 1-year tour of combat, where every moment is like that, where every moment is the highest level of uncertainty, of there's a bullet out there with my name on it. There's a explosive device.
In your case, several.
Exactly. But the idea that at any moment you could die, and you have to accept that. You have to just push it down, deep down, and like, nope, I'm fine. Like you have to just accept the fact that I'm in a hostile territory.
Right.
And there is someone out there that wants me to die at every moment of the day. And you have to have, like, you put into any extraordinary circumstance, you can either laugh about it or cry about it.
Right.
Like that, deep down at the emotional level, that's the way we handle things. Fight or flight, laugh about it or cry about it.
Right.
And so, especially in the military, you have to laugh it off. You have to it's just another day. And so,
well, I've tried to explain to people, because I have, especially coming out of the Coast Guard, you get a lot of shit, but I find this in the military in general. There's a very gay sense of humor that comes along with it. And this as well as I do, but a lot of it's because of the situation you're in. You just got to make the best of it and you joke, but some people don't get that. And I'm like, no, that's just how it is. Like, with the Navy, what is it that in the submarines, 50 sailors go down, 25 couples come up, that type of shit. And it's part of it. And they used to always say, it's not gay underway, but there's always water under the pier, is one of the things they used to say.
Nothing gay about it, man.
And I always just found that funny, but that's one of those topics, especially nowadays, you can't make a lot of those jokes, even if you don't mean anything by it. It's considered I don't know. It's a very different culture when you get out, and it's hard to filter sometimes. Things
today have changed, and for a lot of good.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of good. But there's absolutely. I have a good buddy of mine who's a Marine, was a Marine, but you never
once a Marine, always a Marine. Yeah,
I fucking hate that. That's was a Marine, but no, we do gay jokes all the time, and we talk about blowing each other. We're just such good friends, and it's
exactly.
It's when you've been through some shit together. There's no, if you're really honest, especially being in the situations that I've been in with the guys that I've been with, like, there's no way to say it's not homoerogenous.
Right.
Like, no way. Topless and wrestling and just on top of each other. It's ridiculous, but
I find it hard to explain for some people that the sentiment behind it is not aggressive or meant to be disparaging to anybody. Like that's not, I don't know. It's a very odd avenue for things to lie on, because most people that haven't been there don't quite understand where it's coming from,
Right.
Pun intended. And the and so it's a lot hard. Like that's why when other military guys, whether you meet them or not, we can talk shit to each other, but there's an understood area there as far as where we're coming from on a lot of that shit, as far as joking. And it's very rare to find, like Joey and I have a very similar sense of humor, even though he's a pussy and never went into the military. It's very like-minded. I was in the Coast Guard. I know. But
wait, you were in the military?
Yeah,
I got married at 18 and started having kids.
You had kids
who
at
had
14.
it worse.
That's true. I'll give you that shit.
You started your service a lot earlier than most.
Okay, one more question, and then for me, and then this is the last one I have. I can shut my mouth.
Go for it.
He's an interesting motherfucker.
I agree.
For a change.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, fuck you. How do you feel about? And I know your situation is much different than mine, but I've talked to several veterans, and I've gotten a lot of different opinions on this. And from an honest perspective, how do you feel about the statement, "Thank you for your service"? Honestly,
man.
To me, it depends on who it's coming from and how it's spitting.
Yeah, I definitely think there is something to be said about like where it's coming from, right? When I'm at Home Depot and I'm trying to get my military discount because I'm trying to save a buck, and the lady's like, "Thank you for your service." I'm like, hey, fuck you. I don't need that shit, for sure.
I always reply with "Thank you for your tax dollars."
I'm just not that much of a dick, I guess. I don't know. But no, it's if you're asking me today how I feel about it, it's obviously, it's again, peaks and valleys. There's times where I'm just like, you know what, fucking go fuck yourself. And there's times where I'm like, oh my God, that I needed that. Thank you. Like I'm having a hard day and I needed that.
Well, for me, like, honestly, I acknowledge the fact that my service time is much different than your service time. So sometimes I feel a little like, I've fucking like, no, like it's a whole different ball game for me. Like I did some shit, search and rescue, seen some shit there, but like never once was my life in grave danger. Like never, other than like, oh, it's fucking really cold in Alaska. If I fall off this boat, I'm going to die. That's as far as me being in like mortal danger. And so for me, a lot of times I was like, don't thank me for shit. Like I did a job. I have a good job because of it. My life has been better. Like for me, it wasn't a sacrifice. Right. Yeah. It was a career move. Like I'm being very whatever about it. But I mean, really, if you really break it down, for me, like I was going through my first divorce. I was broke. I was in shit amount of debt. And I was like, well, fuck it. I can either work at this shitty job for forever or I can do this. And so that's what I ended up doing.
You feel very heroic in the moment.
Right. Yeah. And so for me, it's a lot more of like, fuck off. You don't know what I've done, and there's some people that for me, a lot of people, it's lip service, and that fucking annoys the shit out of me. The people that are sincere, I get where they're coming from, but a lot of that shit for me is like, you guys are all just making up for how shitty you treated people after Vietnam. Like that's what 90% of this bullshit is. It's not that you really give a shit what I did.
Most of the people though that are saying it to you, I mean, for me personally, that I've never felt that way, because like when the 20-something-year-old is telling me thank me for my service, like they don't fucking know what Vietnam was like and how. But I
get that. I'm saying, but that's where it came from. That's been the snowball.
As a culture, as a kind of as a community, as a country, we regret the way we treated our post Vietnam. And so no bullshit. A little bit of backstory. Because I was stationed right out the gate in Italy, 173rd Airborne, which I wear proudly on my sleeve.
Oh, here. Jesus, you're one of those guys.
Yeah, I'm one of those guys.
I knew a guy that got the Coast Guard flag across his entire fucking back. That big orange stripe.
Gay. I didn't say I was such a dick. So the idea that I was stationed overseas, right? That was my first duty station. We deployed to Iraq. We came back, deployed to Afghanistan. I never once got a pulse check of how America was feeling towards its veterans. Right. I was part of the initial invasion into Iraq. Came back to Italy, was part of the team that went to Afghanistan. Never once, all we talked about was like, well, shit, you see the way they treated the fucking Vietnam veterans. Like, that's how we expected us the guys early on into the conflict expected, like, don't expect a parade coming back. And so me being injured in our second deployment and one of the first guys critically injured that survived, guys were asking me like, what's it like over there back in the States? Like, are they cool? And I'm reporting back like, dude, they fucking love us. Like, we're the shit here. We're the fucking World Series champs, coming down Parade Avenue. And it was it's a very weird feeling because it feeling like you were supposed to be kind of spit on. And then all of a sudden everybody was just like, oh my God, our American.
Well, that's what's weird for me is we, being in the South, especially, like I have the veteran stamp on my driver's license. And so like rarely will I get a ticket if I get pulled over. And I'm like, I have it for that reason. I have the Coast Guard fucking tag on the car, all that shit. But like down here,
on there.
Right. But down here, essentially for the average person, I'm on the same plane as you. And the fact, even though we're all veterans, we all did our time. I get that. But the shit you did is so much more meaningful. I'm going to say meaningful just for the sake of whatever. For in comparison, like you put yourself in danger for another human being. There's all that shit that plays into it. So for me, like we're on very different levels as far as our military service goes.
It's your show. I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah.
About it. I'm again, being infantry, being airborne, and like, oh my God, I'm the best thing ever, blah, blah, blah.
No.
I really do believe, look, what's the saying that, some gave all gave some,
And I get that, but I'm just saying on a very practical, logical level, the levels of what we went through to be considered on the same level are very, very different.
Yeah. There's combat specialty and there's support of combat specialty.
Exactly. And both are important in their own right. Like what the Coast Guard does, honestly, as much as we get shit, like we do more with less people than any other branches combined, but it's all very not wartime related shit. It's search and rescue, it's drug interdiction, which that has I'm a big conspiracy guy. So I believe the US deals in fucking narcotics anyway for information, for all that other shit. I know for a fact that you tell me when you were over there, you never saw one black helicopter come in for a poppy field. Tell me you never saw that shit.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Exactly. So anyway, but outside of that, but my involvement, like the Coast Guard is way more humanitarian, I should say that. But because of that, it's a very different plane of existence. And I recognize that. And, and I get where the average person is coming from and how they see it. And I understand most people think I was in the National Guard anyway, but, I don't know. It's a very odd thing because I'm a fucking, we've talked about, like, apathetic asshole anyway. And so like I have my own opinions on all that shit. It's just, I take advantage, don't get me wrong, but it's a very different mindset for me is how I view like what you did and what I did. Again, you're still a brother, like, and I'll give you shit from the get-go, but the experience is much different. Yeah.
I'm not sure what to do with all that, but thank you. I
talk a lot and fast.
I mean, if you want to throw in a thank you for your service, I'll take it.
If you want to know what to do with it, you can bend over and I'll show you.
No, yeah, the whole thank you for your service. Yes, I agree that when it comes from someone that means it and like, look, I appreciate what you've done. It's always appreciated. When it's kind of just tossed out there, like hey, how you doing?
Obligatory.
Yeah, when you know someone and like they're like, hey, how's it going? Like, they don't fucking mean how's it going. They just mean like, hi, I recognize you're in my face. Hi.
Yeah.
And that I completely dismiss it. I'm like, yeah, sure, cool.
And the reason I say that is because I have noticed a distinct difference between combat veterans, people that were in, but like maybe were in like Arizona their whole fucking career, but they were still Army. They might've been infantry, whatever the case may be, versus depending on the line you walked in the military, people's reaction to thank you for your service is very different.
Yeah. It's a little uncomfortable. It could be. And I know a lot of guys that served and did things that they don't want to talk about and things like that. And it can be very hard to, I've just come to terms with it.
Yeah.
I think more than anything else. And, yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you just got to, it's just part of the culture now.
Yeah. And I know you have to be a little cautious with your fan base and things like that. Like I get that.
All 400 of them, I've got to be careful. Otherwise they're all gone. No, it really is. I'm appreciative that we live in a culture. Look, I'd rather be here than in the Vietnam era.
Absolutely.
Without a question.
Yeah.
I don't like the feeling of people saying it because they have to, or people saying it because it's, obligatory. But once in a while, I'll get the person that's like, I don't know, you can feel the difference where they're like, listen, man, I look not for nothing, but thank you for your service.
I don't talk about or mention my military service unless it's going to benefit me in some way. Like, honestly, like I would just assume you just live my life and whatever.
Sure.
Cause then you start getting questions and then I have to be like, no, I really didn't do shit. I was in Alaska for a long time and, I could see Russia, but we didn't do anything, I don't know. Well, that and I always get this. So so it was like the Guardian, right? You jumped out of helicopters and shit like Kevin Costner and Ashton Kutcher. Like, yeah, it's exactly every day.
Same thing.
That's all I did.
I tell people it was like American Sniper and Black Hawk Down in one. Fast roping and sniping dudes. That's kind of like if you watch those movies, kind of what I did.
You know what I did. Yeah.
You've seen the Zero Dark 30 when they killed Osama? Same, more or less same thing.
Yeah.
Degrees of difference,
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, he was on SEAL Team 9.
Yeah.
So they didn't do anything,
We don't talk about what I did. The stuff I did, we don't talk about. They don't make movies about it. That's how secretive it was.
Well, dude, we've been rolling for a while. Do you have anything else? Because I've extinguished my random mouth running.
No, I'm good. I mean, I have no military experience to chime in with, so at this point, I'm good. I'm gonna have to go deal with the dog so the wife can go to bed. So,
well, dude, legitimately, thank you for being on here.
Honestly,
absolutely.
We've
this was
loved
a lot of fun, man. I don't get to do this often, so.
Well, you're welcome back whenever.
Anytime you guys invite me, I'm down to talk nonsense and as much military as non-military. But no, this is great. You guys are awesome. Thank you for doing what you're doing and bringing light to the different things. So thank you.
Thank you for your service.
So everyone listening, catch him Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern for the Pop Culture Warrior Show.
Yep.
On Facebook.
You've made it this far.
If you've made it this far, yes, this is a long one. But yeah, Tuesdays at 8 Eastern, Pop Culture Warrior on Facebook. Find Pop Culture Warrior on Facebook and like him. And then I think it's CQ_WTF something on Twitter. I can't remember.
Yeah. Spit out your shit real quick.
I'm terrible at self-promoting, man. I got to get better at this shit. But no, the Facebook page is where we do most of the engagement. Facebook.com/Pop Culture Warrior. And I think it's CQ_WTFNR for WTF Nation Radio on Twitter. And I'm going to get better at this whole self-promotion shit. I suck at it. I'm really terrible at it. But thank you guys. Thank you guys for having
thank you.
No, thanks for being here, dude. And until next time.
Yep. Give us a thumbs up on Facebook at B3F Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at B3F Podcast and on Instagram at B3F_podcast. Send us your questions or comments to bfff.podcast@gmail.com. Rate us and review us wherever you listen to the show. And as always, thanks for listening.